welcome back to another episode of Fully Immersed, a themed entertainment podcast. I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts, Seattle's finest, Spencer Bennett.
Hello, listeners.
And our very own film maestro / themed entertainment gumbo, Tobias Lerman Matante.
Hello, listener.
Guys, thanks for joining me again.
Gotta do it.
gotta do it, man. This is the show where we are 20-something-year-old dudes making our way in this industry of themed entertainment and immersive arts and all that fun stuff. And we just like to talk about things. We wanted an excuse to talk about our industries more because this is what we do when we hang out with each other, and sadly we all live in different places, so we got to find other ways to do it on a more frequent basis, and that kind of spawned this whole podcast idea in the first place. Today we're going to be talking about something pretty relevant to the industry currently. Everybody's talking about Epic Universe. We mentioned and kind of talked about it a little bit towards the end of our last episode, honestly, but this week we're really going to dive into it and really kind of explore the creative good of Epic Universe, the creative bad, and that's probably going to lead us into a larger conversation about IP in general and its role in modern theme parks compared to days of old, but also how it's always kind of been there in some way, shape, or form. And so without further ado, we're going to get this thing rolling. If that sounds fun to you, you're in the right place. So guys, Epic Universe, none of us have been, but all of us have seen pretty much everything that there is to do with this this whole new park at this point. This is the first time a domestic full-fledged theme park expansion by either Disney or Universal, or really the big three. I guess it's three now after Cedar and Six Flags merged, but really the most expansive theme park opening that we've had probably since the late 90s with California Adventure, or
2001.
perhaps 2001. And then before that, Animal Kingdom, right?
No, I thought Animal Kingdom was after, or is it before?
It was Islands, Animal Kingdom, and then DCA.
Yeah.
So DCA is our last domestic.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
baby.
Yeah, and oh boy, I mean, what a success it was too.
Well, Superstar Limo. Let's go on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Last
Disney.
week, if I had a time machine, that would be like number 2 after preventing like many world tragedies. But if we're honest, maybe number 1 would be to ride Superstar Limo.
One. I think you would do Superstar Limo and then be like, well, I guess now I should,
now I should
the course
save,
of history.
Yeah. Now I should be a superhero, but first let me ride Superstar Limo.
I mean, it was always Mulholland Madness, the little stupid mouse coaster,
which is still there.
Still there somehow.
I mean, I remember doing it as Mulholland Madness. So the thing with Superstar Limo is I was 2 or 3, and so that didn't materialize. But Mulholland Madness was there until I think like 2010, 11. So I did get on that.
And it's still there.
It's still there.
It's just a different color scheme.
They just painted the signs with Goofy.
I want to say it was there till around the time that the whole Main Street entrance, I guess it's not technically Main Street, but the main street of the park,
Buena Vista,
Buena Vista got overhauled and didn't look like a postcard anymore. Fun fact though, I don't know if you guys knew this, Spencer, you might know this, but do you know where the massive multi-ton California letters are located currently?
I do. Cal Expo in beautiful surface of the sun, blisteringly hot Sacramento, California.
Yeah, so if you want to see a piece of Disney history and you're in the Northern California rural Midwest area, you can head on down to Cal Expo there in Sacramento and see yourself a little bit of Disney history. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you pass through it on the way to the state fair.
Yeah, absolutely. But tangent aside about DCA and all of our woes with it, we are here to talk about Epic Universe, the new park that was recently, pretty actually like over a month ago, kind of soft opened. and now is fully open for the last week or two. And we've seen, there were a lot of headlines at first about how light everything was and how uh, light the wait times were and everything. I think that we touched on that a little bit last week, if I remember correctly, but things have since picked up, it would seem. A lot of folks in the last week or so traveling down to Orlando to experience this thing. And it's, I think, also pretty groundbreaking. And this is probably what's going to get us into our conversation because pretty much everything in the park is an IP. It's an IP based park, which is
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
yeah. That was my fear originally when this thing was announced. I'm not gonna lie,
Really,
and
you were worried that it was all going to be IP.
yeah, I was worried it was gonna become an IP dumping ground, which is what I feel like the park landscape has become post Potter in 2010, and we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. But I don't know. I will say the more I think about it, the more there are goods to this I think it's more than meets the eye. But yeah, initially when this was first announced and some renderings came out, I was like, they're just gonna dump every Universal property they possibly can in here, and it's just gonna be you know an IP wonderland, which good and bad. But uh I don't know. I am pleasantly surprised a bit, I will say, for what I've seen, and I'll dig into that a little later. But I'll let Spencer talk a bit about his thoughts and everything.
Um, yeah, I mean, there is no denying that it is a park of 4. I mean, there is an original land, right? It sort of would
Sure.
passes through, slips through the cracks because it is effectively a main street type
Yeah.
part, like land, which
It's
I
the
don't think
main
get as
the
much
main street
attention.
and the rotor, I guess.
Yeah, it's the spoken wheel, right? It's
Yeah.
it's the spoke, I guess. So it doesn't get as much attention and thought, but it technically is an original land. But it ever since it was announced, like I think we all knew where it was going. And also for me, it doesn't bother me as much because Universal has kind of always been that. Um,
Yeah.
when Disneyland opened in 1955, there was there was intellectual property, right? It was based on Snow White and Pinocchio, and these various animated films had their Fantasyland dark rides, but there also was a lot of original attractions, and I think
Right.
those are the stuff that is remembered super fondly. It came later, but Space Mountain, the Matterhorn, like things that well before Universal was opening parks
Yeah.
have
Big
existed.
Thunder,
Big Thunder, like
Pirates,
Pirate, yeah, great point. Pirates, Haunted
yeah,
Mansion, great point.
which
Um,
now is interesting because it's like
has
become an
become
IP.
yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
and I was gonna talk about that later on. I
yeah.
yeah.
really
It's funny, I do think of it as an IP now, but that's a great point. Um,
Tomorrowland also technically became an IP with, thanks to George
yeah,
Clooney.
thanks, yeah, with for like a minute and then everyone
Yeah.
they
forgot.
tried. They really tried
Yeah.
to
They
make it
really
an
did.
No,
IP.
yeah, and
They
that's a
really did.
conversation on its own is they tried, right? They
Yeah.
tried to tie it into something after the fact, but, it doesn't bother me as much as Universal, so I didn't have any immediate reservations about it.
Yeah.
Even Islands of Adventure, which had an original land, or 2, but it wasn't Merlinwood, right? It wasn't wholly original on its own. I mean, it was
Yeah,
inspired by King Arthur and medieval and Merlin and all these stories, but it was still them doing their own thing with it. Which, when we get into the nitty gritty of Epic Universe, is kind of how I feel about Epic Universe. Um, is that they're taking it is IP based, right? But there is some leaps and creative things going on that it doesn't bother me as much as, say, the book report style attractions that have plagued the Disney parks for the last 10 years, which is just remember this movie. Here's the beats from this movie. And
Fair.
and there's also incredible technology with those, right? Like Frozen Ever After obviously has not aged amazingly because those projected faces, but the Frozen ride in Fantasy Springs, which I went to last year in Tokyo Disney Sea, is amazing.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like there's still ways to make this great, but um all that to say, Epic Universe doesn't bother me as much because I don't think it's a series of book report attractions. Um, but go ahead, Lane. Take us into
I I kind of I'm with Spencer a little bit. I think that and I couldn't really put my finger on why it didn't bother me that or not even that it doesn't bother me, it didn't surprise me that it's the direction that they went in,
Right.
and I think that it's mostly because that's kind of, to me, what Universal has been, at least as far back as I've been going as a kid. And, there was always Jurassic Park, which was a movie before it was a ride. There was when I was a kid, there was the Terminator 2 show. And
To the Future.
yeah, and I remember, I think it was like when we were in high school or something when Transformers opened.
Yeah,
Um, and so
Simpsons, yeah.
Mummy has always fucking been there. Like, and I think that for a lot of that stuff, it it didn't surprise me because that's kind of what my experience has always been. But in my mind, even before that, like the classic Universal rides are King Kong, Jaws, like they're
yeah,
all based
Yeah.
on movies that they've done, which is kind of the aim of the park, you know. And I think that really the only original thing that you could say is like an original attraction is the studio tour, but even that is full of fucking IP, you know.
yeah,
But back when they started doing it, I think you could definitely kind of consider it an original attraction. I don't think anybody had really done a
It was incredibly
studio
unique.
tour
Yeah.
yeah,
and with special effects built into it for sure. Like you can go on a studio tour at Warner Brothers for a long time now, but like they don't do that sort of level of production.
yeah. That's fair.
Like, you
But
walk through sets, but it's not. I
right,
mean, the
you can sit
studio
on the
Yeah,
fuzz
tour
yeah.
couch.
revolutionized theme parks. I
Hey,
mean, it, led
Yeah.
to
yeah,
MGM and all this
I
competing
mean,
whatnot.
yeah, it's what led, Disney and them to race to do the same fucking thing in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Because Disney saw how profitable that was being in Hollywood, I would assume.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
But so I guess it just didn't really surprise me. I think I was more surprised with like the selections of IP,
Yeah.
yeah.
honestly, and not the fact that it was IP, but like I found How to Train Your Dragon interesting because that's a series that has already concluded.
Hmm.
Um concluded. Obviously they're doing, the live action and all that, which, I have my own opinions about, but I the series itself, the trilogy that came out is already, set up and done well before this park was even announced. So I thought that it was really interesting to go with a property like that. That being said, I love How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
Does it?
So I was pretty psyched about it, but I definitely was taken aback. I didn't expect them to do that.
Yeah.
I'll let Toby kind of hit off of that, I guess.
No, I mean, it's weird. I think a lot of my reservations just come from the current media landscape. I don't even think I can
Mhm.
place it on the parks themselves. Back in when when Universal launched, it was different, right?
Yeah,
It was it was at least, get behind the movies, and nowadays everything just feels so synergy based,
yeah,
and we're in a point where, creative just the media landscape has been dying little by little with the
yeah,
big boys, and I'm talking about, go beyond. I mean, just these two proper companies at least that are the two most important companies in the theme entertainment industry on the media side. I mean, Universal to a lesser extent, they have been doing more original stuff,
yeah.
Disney, I mean, God, I'm just right now sitting here pissed as hell that, freaking Lilo and Stitch is gonna make $1 billion because, like, I'm like, damn
Probably,
it.
yeah.
I was hoping that would be the final nail in the coffin of these stupid live action remakes, and
I really was too, to be honest. And I mean, I think it's just, I don't know. Now they've started making the movies that I really like grew up
Yep.
like Lion King was probably the first one where I was like we did not need this.
Mm,
Jungle Book I didn't really watch much as a kid, so
that was
like
fine,
that
and that was a
one,
good one.
and
yeah,
I enjoyed it for what it was, and I knew the story, but it's not like one of those movies that I rewatched all the
No,
time
dude,
growing up.
sure.
But
definitely.
when you turn on the Lion King remake and you just know that you're like, I recognize every single fucking
Yeah,
shot,
they're
and like
it's
I
just
don't like that.
worse. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
sure.
see the Lilo stage. I'm not going to. I don't care. I'm like intentionally avoiding it because I'm like
Yeah.
the original's so
I'm
good.
yeah.
Didn't want to give them money for that piece of crap. But I mean,
I don't want a
it's
Lilo and Stitch that isn't doused in watercolor, you know?
Mhm.
yeah,
Like
yeah. But
that's
anyway,
anyway.
regardless, that's where I feel, and that's now we're getting the How to Train Your Dragon remake, and that was like, why? Like, this is
Mhm.
a
Did you see
franchise.
like the first flight like sequence that they pre-released as like a teaser and it's just shot for shot the same fucking
Yeah,
thing.
which is like, why? Why this
Yeah.
movie's not that old? It's like, I mean,
Mhm.
the last one came out in what, 2019, so it's like what, 6 years ago. It's not that long.
Mhm.
But
Could it be a
regardless, so
rights thing? I don't
I
know.
don't know. But
No.
my
I don't
fear
think so.
was just like, this is gonna go in the Disney direction. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and we'll get to that later, I think, more talking about IP and the worst I've seen of it. But I will say I'm pleasantly surprised with what I've seen in two instances, not just Celestial Park that you're talking about. Actually, three things. I mean, they took a huge swing. Monsters Land is really not an IP land.
For sure.
Like, it is,
Yeah.
but it's not really. It's
I
original.
I throw it into the same category for me as like Fantasyland, how it's like all those
Yeah,
like projects that are so old that like they don't really feel like IP,
but
if it makes sense.
they took their own direction with it, and, like, I mean, Monsters Unchained has its own
Yeah.
story and
Characters.
narrative.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
like, in that sense, I'm like, that's the more I look at that and more I think about it, I'm like, "Oh, you guys did something unique and original within IP," but that's not really it. And then there is a unifying premise. It's not as
Mhm.
passive as like
Okay.
Celestial Park is not as passive as Main Street. Main Street is there's not much of a story there. It's all environmental. Celestial Park has its story. There are characters. There is a narrative, and I think it's a double-edged sword in some sense because like the portals, how you can jump from place to place. I think that's very cool, very original. It's a very fun solution to making a park feel unified, and for that, I have to give them their due. The Grand Helios Hotel, like, integrated in, and that's not a based off any property. That is an original idea. Which
Yeah.
I mean, they to give them their credit for the most part. I think we talked about this on the last episode. In terms of their hotels, they have been sticking to original concepts
Yeah,
for a
Yeah.
while.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
so like in that sense, I'm like, I think it.
Volcano Bay is a great
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
There you go. If we're gonna talk about water parks, there's been several and they've all been
yeah, yeah,
original, which
yeah.
is cool, but
So in that sense, I'm like, yeah, like they did what they could within the parameters that we are in right now, right? So those are my three big goods on this end.
yeah.
Is that you have an original, the entryway is something great. It's not like Disney's Hollywood Studios where there's no unifying theme, or for a while I will say DCA definitely tried to do something different where it was a California themed park. And,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, we all know the peak. That was for me, the peak of that park. Like 2012 to like late 2010s, California Adventure was like everything felt like it had a purpose within the park and
Yeah.
it was telling a story. I mean, we know where it is now. It's just it has become an IP dumping ground, and it killed anything that it had. But I do respect them here, just having that central story that connects everything, having characters, having an ethos to what the park is supposed to be. And I think what my question is going to be, longevity wise, is do they put an effort into keeping Celestial Park as this own thing that keeps the ethos of the whole experience tied together? Or do they just say, hey, it's been 5 years, we don't we don't care anymore. We're not going to hire these walk around actors who are telling you the story and put the detail in. Because even their dining, a lot of their dining seems, the Atlantic theme thing,
Okay.
the Asian inspired
Atlantic, yeah, and then the Blue
restaurant,
Dragon, I
like,
think it's called,
yeah, the
Blue
Blue
Dragon.
Dragon, like that is all like great, like, and they're putting effort now, right? Which again,
Right.
this opened what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, so like
Yeah.
the question for me is going to be, what happens down the line? And the one thing that has consistently worried me looking at wait times is that the area that seems the most dead on a consistent basis is monsters, is Dark
Mm.
Universe. Um, and so that's a swing, and I think that land is going to have a lot of implications for the future of what they do. I respect it. I think they did something interesting with it, but, like, yeah, what is there I don't know. What do you guys see the future looking like? Is it go are they you think does this or the original side, continue to blast off, or do we get the nightmare scenario where, like, they stop investing in that and more reboots come out and they have to, play into because that's also something big to talk about, I think, is 2 of these lands now are technically old based off old iterations of properties.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Epic Universe, the way I think about it is it's like the blank check movie, right? So for instance, Bong Joon-ho, won the Oscar, made a bunch of money with Parasite and really kind of broke through into the American cinema conversation. And this year he made Mickey 17, which was a humongous flop. I haven't even seen it. I really wanted to see it and it just I life,
It's
you
fine.
know?
Yeah.
But
It's
It's
like
fine.
I'm
on Max
so
now.
yeah, and I'm gonna watch it. That's
On
that's why I bring it up,
HBO
is I saw
Max.
it,
It's
yes, on
Jesus.
rebranded HBO Max. But I saw it on my TV and I was like, "Oh, I need to watch that." But to me,
Yeah.
that's this, and I'm so glad he made it, right? It flopped and it got good reviews, but like I'm so glad he made it because it's a big swing. And technically, I guess it's an IP. It's based on a science fiction book, but like no one read that book. Um, like some people did, but like books aren't major profit things. Um, so to me, Epic Universe is like that, right? Where they they have to have some way to sell this to the board, like
Yeah.
so for the way I think they approached it, and Lane, you talked about it with the selection of IPs, and this is why I don't worry about this in the future, Toby. I'm going to bring this back around, and try and sway you into the positive camp. But they took effectively, right, old Monsters Land, which is basically a new story, just using kind of like almost what are they? Probably common, or what is it? Public domain characters, right? Frankenstein's
Yeah.
monster, Dracula,
Yeah.
a werewolf. It's not even like Wolfman, it's just werewolf.
Yeah.
Um, and
Was
they
it
said,
really?
okay,
That's interesting.
yeah, Curse of the Werewolf is not themed after the 1940s movie. It's just werewolf.
Oh,
Um, there's like
interesting.
generic or general like hallmarks of that genre.
Right.
There's the Romani camp. There's the curse. There's a blah blah blah. Like it all kind of comes around, but that is effectively like old Monsterland based on public domain literature characters. Viking Land. You have like retro video game, colorful techno land, and you have what's the next one? I'm already. Oh, Harry Potter like Paris. You basically built Paris, um, is
Yeah.
what that is. So I think that the way they selected this, and I think Potter was the one, Potter and Nintendo, the studio, the board, whatever, was like, you got to do that because Nintendo's making us a ton of money in Japan. It's making us a ton of money in Hollywood now. Like, got to have Nintendo. And then Potter is Universal's blood. Like they have
Yeah.
to do Potter in everything, which is where my negatives will go. Even though that attraction is supposedly incredible.
I'm so
And
excited.
they keep doing Potter so damn well, it's hard to be concerned about it,
Yeah.
which is like the problem, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, my only concern with Potter, and we'll talk about. I think your negatives and my negatives are going to align. My only concern
yeah.
with Potter is we have a new iteration coming up of Potter
Hmm.
that I mean,
That's
let's be
my
real,
concern too.
nobody
Yeah.
wants. Like
No.
like I
Yeah.
I'm not I feel terrible. They just released the casting for those
And
kids, and
those
I'm like,
kids look great.
those kids,
Like,
yeah, they're great casting. I
yeah.
think the casting so far have been amazing. I'm not gonna deny it. It's just I don't want this story told again. It's such a it's like trying to remake Lord of the Rings. It's like why you don't
Hmm.
touch. There's certain IPs you don't. It's like let's remake A New Hope, which they kind of did, but but it's not like it's not like they're just doing yeah we're retelling the classic story because that wouldn't work. So that's a side tangent.
Yeah.
I'm like that being said, that is HBO Max, so I'm not sure how much
Yeah.
Warner is going to enforce that. I also don't think it's going to be a very successful series. I don't know. I will have to
And I
see.
doubt it's not like Universal probably has like the theme park rights to the new
No.
project. It's
No,
Universal
no,
has
they
a
probably don't.
deal with Warner Brothers Pictures
exactly. So
to
like
distribute that specific
yeah,
interpretation of
Yeah,
like or Universal has nothing to do with the books, right? They
which
have to run everything
honestly
through Rowling, but it's that movie franchise is what they have the
I'm
rights
just
to.
like, what happens if Zaslav's is like, hey, I want to push the new show. and if you
Yeah,
want to
you
keep
want
these
this?
rights,
Dangle the
no, it's
keys.
like you want to keep these rights, you got to push this somehow.
Sure.
That's where my worry comes in with that.
That
Is
just depends
is
on the language. I don't know
yeah,
what
I don't
that
know
looks
either.
like.
I'm just like, if Zaslav says like, "Hey, like this show's not doing well, but I want to keep pushing it because we've put so much money into it, and
Mhm.
your parks are part of the problem." Maybe I'm not saying it will be. It's just like a doomsday scenario.
Sure.
What
Yeah.
happens then? I mean that's a bigger issue for all the parks, not just Epic. That's Islands, that's Florida, that's Hollywood, that's Japan, that's everywhere there's a Potterland and in what comes. But like, yeah, that one just scares me a bit. If
Sure.
he
Yeah.
and if we were talking about anybody else, I'd be like, yeah, but we've seen Zaslav's decision making up to now, for crying out loud. So, you
Yeah.
know, I
Well,
wouldn't put it past that studio to do something like that.
Yeah, and I
sure.
think, even that land, right? Like I said, it's Paris, right? They're still doing something creative with it while using the Harry Potter name. That attraction is effectively an original story
That's
set
amazing.
after the books,
That
right? So that's where
yeah,
I think Epic is doesn't concern me. Is this all IP, obviously, and the one that is the most like obvious is not the right word, but obvious is Nintendo, right? The
yeah,
Minecart roller coaster and Super Mario and Mario Kart. But there's so much interactive stuff in Nintendo that I love that I sort of
yeah,
doesn't bother me as much. But like Monsters, original story. How to Train Your Dragon, those are original. Hiccups Wing Gliders and that stage show are original stories just
Yeah.
in that world.
Yeah.
Battle of the Ministry, original story. And then obviously Celestial Park is like its own story that connects all these things and has
is
like actual characters. The Celestials, like you said, are walk around characters you can meet.
is that gonna last though? Do you
And
think
that's
that?
the question, right? But
I
I
don't
think
know.
with the way these attractions have been constructed, my thought is yes. Or at least there'll be some element of through line storytelling because the Universal Creative Team, I mean, the thing they said at the first press conference was we're putting the park back in theme park. Is yes, this is IP. And I think Universal like I said, it's the blank check movie. You have to like pay
Yeah,
your dues to do something
yeah,
creative.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
have
yeah.
to be like, okay,
Do you
we have this great idea for Viking Land. How to Train Your Dragon. That's the IP to do
yeah.
this.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's why I think it's a long term gonna be okay. This park specifically in Universal does this well. Velocicoaster, original attraction in the Jurassic Park world.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they do this well. Disney, which is the bad side of IP, which I think we're talking about, but is like I said, that book report attraction is what sucks. Is like
Yeah.
just here is the story of the movie, beat for beat. And it's awesome. Beauty and the Beast in Tokyo is amazing, but it is just the movie.
Yeah. Sure.
So
yeah, yeah.
that's
I mean,
that's
I have
where Epic doesn't scare me yet.
problems with Disney on a deeper level I don't get to
Yeah.
later. Lane, where are you taking this in the future? I
Yeah,
mean,
Lane.
Do you think like do you think that having the because I was we've talked about it before when they first started announcing like the new Harry Potter cast, and I felt very similar to Toby about, oh, like what happens when, if you're a kid, if you're like a 5-year old now and you've never seen the Harry Potter movies and this show comes out and you watch it and then you go to the theme parks and some other guy is Harry Potter, is that confusing? Or are you like, that's not Harry Potter? Or do you think it's the inverse effect and going to the parks and seeing that this is Harry Potter is actually solidifying our version of Harry Potter
yeah,
over the new show. Like, and maybe that's why, you're concerned about the backlash from Warner against that. But
yeah, that's
it's
my
just
concern.
kind of interesting because like I was very concerned about it up front, but I'm also like, oh, maybe it's like actually supports, our version of Harry Potter that we grew up with. I don't know. It'll be an interesting case study, I think, for that
Yeah,
sort of
definitely.
stuff. But I mean, I've had similar thoughts about the next upcoming Star Wars films. Like, are they eventually going to want to refresh it so that it's not, Ray versus Kylo in the park, and it's whichever, future
That
trilogy
one is
they actually
already
end up doing, because most of them seem to get canceled or whatever. But
that one is already, I think, a lot more risk than Potter because Potter is a
yeah,
successful, established, beloved franchise. That we'll get to
yeah,
that later, and that's going to be a huge. that's a whole mess that they've created for themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I will say huge props. It's crazy to me that Potter theme park rides at this point have done more to advance the world and the lore and the
Yeah.
story than the films have, which is like, Fantastic Beasts. Like, I mean, the first one was a good step in the right direction, then it just went off the rails.
Yeah.
But like it's crazy, yeah. Like we're getting what happens to Dolores Umbridge and Battle of the Ministry. To that, I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. So like, I'm gonna give them their flowers completely. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, Spencer, they are able to get an IP, and I mean, and that's just the reality of the world we live in right now, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's the media landscape and as a
Yeah.
whole is
That's
just
how
the
you
fact.
get your money. You get your funding
Yeah,
by wrapping it up with
literally,
something.
literally, like the only reason we can have Andor, right, which
Yeah.
is one of the
100%.
probably like one of the best TV shows to come out in the last couple of years, is because it's a Star Wars property. Even though it's not really a Star Wars
Yeah.
property, but it is a Star Wars
But
property.
you tied it to a billion-dollar film in Rogue One,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you can tell Tony Gilroy can say, "Okay, here's the, the package."
yeah,
But I actually wanna tell a story about espionage in war times, but I'm gonna do it
exactly.
with this, you know?
Exactly, exactly. So so I think they're doing a lot of really good stuff with that. The only honestly land here that just feels a little lazy is Nintendo because it is a
Mhm.
copy paste of Japan,
Yeah,
basically.
Is
So
it?
like
Yeah.
it's just clones. I mean, Hollywood,
Is
we
it
don't
bigger
have
than Hollywood's?
for sure.
everything's bigger than
Yeah.
Hollywood's.
Yeah,
Hollywood's
it's
is
like
like
double the size.
Hollywood's is one ride, and essentially the theming around the area is just it's just there to hide the show building for
Yeah.
Bowser's Challenge, which is really
Yeah.
funny, but really, again, really smart. And I mean, yeah, so like they've done this with, I mean, Monsters, like you said, is its own thing. How to Train Your Dragon, from what I've seen and what I've heard talking to people who have been, it's it's enriching the story, right? And
Mhm.
I think that's where it boils down to. And where my fears have been quelled is everything they seem to have done is like advancing the universe of these properties rather than becoming a marketing ploy
Mhm.
for the streamer or the studio, which is like great. Which is so on that end, I have to say ultimately, I'm super excited for this. We all want to go really bad, but a lot of my fears have been quelled. Everything there seems to be telling. It's that thing like Spencer said. You want to get $100 million theme park ride approved, you have to go through some kind of IP. Which again,
Sure.
later on is when we talk about really where the industry is and why is that a bad thing, is ultimately a bad thing, but this is like kind of like how I think they've been able to adapt and do something unique and original within those parameters. That
Yeah.
it's out of their hands. I mean, you that's the industry we live in, not just in theme parks, and mostly in theme parks, but in media as a whole.
Yeah. Alright, Lane, get us there. Let's start talking negatives. What does this do to the future, and where has IP gone wrong and will go continue to go wrong?
Like, I think people vote with their wallets.
Sure.
And I think it's a lot more compelling for a 3-year-old to wanna dress up like a character they've watched on TV than some character they only just met today.
Mhm.
And I think that data has shown that they make more money if it's an IP, or at least they have the potential to make more money in the surrounding area if it's an IP. Uh, I mean, God, Spencer, think about how many fucking Wizards brews we've had
Well, yeah.
when at the Hogshead when we haven't even gone on the fucking ride that
No,
day.
one of our
You know,
favorite activities when we lived in Southern California, and I did this with Toby too, since you had left, and then since then I've left, but just sit at that, like, beautiful little picnic table in the back of
yeah,
Hogshead with a
Yeah, just
beer
enjoy
and just,
it.
like, just look
yeah.
at the
It,
scenery. Yeah.
that's like cha-ching. You just spent 8-10 bucks, whatever a beer costs.
Try 15.
Try 15
15,
if
yeah, no,
you're in a theme park.
a butterbeer's $8, 10
Yeah.
Yeah.
bucks now, I think, but
So like you just spent 15 bucks on what effectively could be sold to you for $8.
Yeah.
So you paid nearly double price for a beer, but you're sitting there and witnessing the land, and we didn't even go on the ride that day, and so a lot of the cash that they're making is from not even those attractions and the e-tickets and all that. It's from those opportunities that come from people just wanting to be in that land that they've already witnessed prior to arriving here
Yeah.
today. So I think that you're only going to see more of it. It's kind of one of those things where you can get on board or not. I I think that Six Flags is probably a good, and I know I like to shit on Six Flags, but
Who doesn't?
Six Flags is probably a good example to compare, Epic Universe to, where, there's a very stark difference in theming and, you or even if you're comparing like Disney, like parades and character meet and greets and all that
I
stuff,
Sure.
think
which
that's what I
obviously
would
Universal
compare.
has gotten into,
I don't
Mhm.
think
but
you can
not
compare Six
heavily.
Flags.
Six
No,
Flags is
but
painting a roller coaster red and saying
but
it's the
Yeah,
that's
Flash.
it's a budgetary constraint too.
but
Yeah.
It's
that's
different. It's
the
a
that's
different
the comparison I'm trying to
threshold.
make, where Six Flags is cheaper to go to, generally speaking.
Oh, for sure.
But you're not paying all those actors to interact with your kids. You're not paying to see a parade or any shows. Well, there are a couple shows, but you're just paying there to sit in the sun and then go on a ride and then leave. And so if you're somebody or a family that wants that more e-ticket experience where your kids feel immersed in the land that they've been watching on the TV, you're going to pay more for it. So I think that it's only going to get stronger. The arguments for it are only going to get stronger in the boardrooms. I think that there is a negative side to that. Like we've been saying, it allows you, I guess, to get away with some things just by saying, well, this was in the Harry Potter movie. Uh, but that may not cost much to do or whatever. I think that there's also a level of, you know, accountability that we as fans can hold them to, because if something doesn't isn't representative of that world, people are going to call you out on it pretty harsh, which is probably why they sank so much money into Harry Potter to begin with, is because it really had to match that, because there's so many movies where you can easily see if this is in universe or not, and if it's not, then people are not going to react to it well.
Yeah,
So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think that it kind of
sure.
forces the company to put more money into it, more research, and
Yeah,
uh funds and skills into doing something, more effort in general to make it representative. But it also can allow you to make cash off of just wrapping something in a new, this is now an IP ride. I think a good example of that is probably Pixar Pier, where nothing really changed,
we will
but nothing
get.
really changed. But, they're just like, this is no longer an original land that's just based on a boardwalk. It's now a
Yeah,
boardwalk with all your Pixar friends on it, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
it was a relatively cheap way for Disney to get that desired effect of a new land, so you're always going to
hmm
have the negative aspects of that, which really, in my opinion, usually come down to, this land is outdated and we don't want to spend money to tear it down and rebuild it.
So,
Higher up saying,
yeah,
we could be making more money.
Sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's the media landscape.
For
I
sure.
have so many my negatives again on how this could impact the industry as a whole. First one is just, I hope to God does well. I need that epic
Yeah.
land to do better because I am so scared that if in 2 to 3 years that is the least populated land, that's gonna get the
Wait
axe.
till Halloween time. I bet it'll be busy.
Oh, I'm hoping and I'm sure it's there, but, like, that the and that's the risk of, and, again, I can't even fault them because they took this risk, and
Yeah.
that's good on them. I don't think it's a negative on their end. It's just if that doesn't do as well as the other ones do, the suits upstairs are gonna be like, "Okay, great." These other ones are increasing revenue by X amount. This one is just not. We're not selling the merch we wanna sell. We're not selling we're not getting the upcharge we want to get. No one's buying a wand. No one's buying a power up band. How do we make this,
Yeah.
just something that sells versus something that's good? On the flip side, if I'm wrong and this does really well, I mean, Universal has already created so much original IP through Horror Nights, like
Yeah.
really cool, original, continuing story IPs that are theirs, and so that does open the door, and I'm very excited for Vegas to see what they do there. Um, but it does open the door. So that one is, like, more so like they took a risk, and now we have to bear the consequences of that. Um,
Yeah.
and the portal thing just also worries me because essentially just becomes it worries me and it doesn't worry me. The beauty of the portal is you can dump any IP you want and it still doesn't ruin the overall vibe of the park. That is a
Sure.
genius move.
It's kind of
That
why
is
it's genius.
it's
Yeah.
a genius move, right? You will not have the California Adventure or the Disneyland issue or
You
the
have
Disney
not
Parks issue,
pigeonholed yourself with a through line that, like, yeah, like the Disney park issue where things are themed a certain way, and yeah,
and then they get totally
it's
Yeah.
demolished.
it's
But
so vague but still interesting that they're like, we have hit a home run. We can do whatever we want.
yeah, so over honestly, despite all my reservations about it, I think it's a net positive for the industry if the original side does well. If people are spending time in Celestial Park and they're selling Stardust Racers merch, or they're people are going to those restaurants and people are going to the monster stuff and liking it because then it doesn't mean that the next couple lands are gonna be like Wicked or,
Oh
Fast and
God,
God.
Furious. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
everyone. I mean, and we know it's coming.
I know it's coming.
We
Yeah.
Yeah,
know it's coming. So it means that there is faith to do something unique and original, um, while keeping the so I don't know, I really hope this park does well. I do think overall it is a net positive. I think they did a really good job in playing with the parameters they have. Um, a lot of my fears have been quelled. It's really weird. I talk the negatives to the positives and the positives to the negatives. Um, I'm like, screw your
but
sections.
it's very gray, right? Like you can
Yeah. Oh,
do
absolutely.
what I have done and like really back up and kind of see what the creatives were thinking and the way you have to package it, right? Comparing it to the film industry. But also like it is a park entirely composed of intellectual property. And
Yeah,
I think while they crushed it from a creative perspective, because I think they, there was a famously documented exodus from Imagineering a couple years ago, right? And I think
yeah, we
that
all
has
knew it.
happened throughout history. Happened in the '90s. That's why Merlinwood, which I talked about earlier, exists because Beastly Kingdom was axed from Animal Kingdom. Is this is a very common thing, and I think you get really clever creative ideas using that umbrella,
Yeah, yeah, I
that
think so too.
IP umbrella. So I think it is a gray thing in general. I think it's the best case scenario of what the media landscape industry looks like now
Yeah,
in a theme park. It's the best case scenario, which is four, three, I guess, minus Nintendo, good ideas wrapped in something. But I think to talk about the negatives, you can take all the wrong lessons from this. You can take
Yeah.
all the wrong lessons from this. And I think I promise right now, there is a Disney boardroom saying, why didn't Galaxy's Edge do this? And they don't know why. And I'll tell you why. Because Galaxy's Edge was both a bad business decision to wrap something in your new version of this franchise that is really unproven. Obviously, Force Awakens was a huge success, but like I'm not like some internet man baby whatever mess who like spends all their time hating The Last Jedi, but I don't really like that movie. And I think it did. A lot of people do, and that's wonderful. I'm not. Again, I don't care. Like I'm not the person who's like
no,
you
you're good.
idiot. Like
I
it
hate
didn't
the
work
other
for
two.
me.
I hate the other two. So
There you go. Yeah.
it's a funny
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
And I mean, I think everyone hates the last one. That was kind of the bow
I
on
don't
like,
know who
okay,
doesn't.
yeah. Although you can find an episode of Disney Deconstructed years ago of me having recency bias and saying it was good, um, which it wasn't. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
Palpatine
internet.
is back. Woo!
I think I called it "fuck it" the movie, but in a good
Yeah,
way.
you
I was like,
did. I still think about that sometimes is
I
that
was
you
like, J.J.
said
Abrams said, "Fuck it." Like,
it's fuck it the movie.
yeah, we're gonna do
Like,
this. Oh no, this plot point ran out of story. Fuck it, we're going to. We found this Sith relic we're gonna chase down. Um, so uh,
Yeah,
but I think Galaxy's Edge failed because they wrapped it in both a franchise that was not proven, and there
yeah.
wasn't an original story. And I know some people are gonna get if anyone's listening, but like the narrative of like, well, Millennium Falcon has like a sort of original story with Hondo Onaka, and it's like, yeah, but who the what? Like, what is that? And also, not
Did
really.
you
The
watch
story is
Clone Wars or Rebels? Then
yeah.
you'll
I
know.
watched Clone Wars.
And this is like what I said with Epic, right? Oh, it's an original story in the universe, but it's not a compelling one. And it's
No,
not really. Like Hiccup's
it's
wing gliders, for example, you're riding a like dragon Hiccup made out of like materials. And it's clever and cute and I
Yeah.
haven't obviously been on it, but like that's what it is, right?
yeah,
Um
yeah,
Millennium
or
Falcon
even
Smuggler's Run is just sit in the Millennium Falcon.
I mean,
yeah,
I will say, whatchamacallit, Rise of the Resistance
Sure.
is a better story than
Absolutely.
half of the movies and the content that Disney's pop.
Yeah. I think I
Like, I
said
don't
it was the greatest Star Wars movie that Disney never made was Rise
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
I was
Resistance.
like, "Oh, it's like a heist escape type movie, and
Yeah.
yeah,
it works." It's
yeah,
so, there are the pros and cons, but, yeah, I mean, the wrong lessons can be taken from this completely, and I think this is ultimately into how well is this park can this park perform on its own, on its vision now in June 1st, 2025, when it just opened versus in a few years, and what do the studios decide to do with it? Which is going I think if we wanna move past Epic and kind of move into the more IP conversation, is my biggest one of my biggest strifes with IP in general in theme parks is that it has become a very expensive marketing vehicle for studios. And,
for sure, absolutely.
I'm not gonna go past and talk about the European parks, because Efteling is the antidote to all of this. Efteling is and a lot of, even Alton Towers, and
Yeah,
the UK parks. A lot of these parks have been doing telling original stories and doing it really well at the highest capacity they possibly can. But the biggest players worldwide, that you think theme parks to somebody who's not in the industry or doesn't have this knowledge is Disney Universal. And I think Universal less so, hopefully, question mark. But Disney in particular has transformed their parks into marketing for Disney Plus and marketing for the studio. And then you lose I love seeing in the industry as a whole that experiential marketing has become such a big thing, but that's not why you go to a theme park.
yeah.
And
I still
that's my
remember.
fear with IP.
I still remember like when Spencer and I went to Disneyland once in high school, and they had the sneak peek 4D experience for
Oh my god, in
Guardians.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah, for Guardians of the Galaxy, and
It
that
was
was
just the
like,
first 5 minutes of the movie.
yeah, but and then they like consistently kept doing that. I doubt that that was like the first time they ever did that or anything, but that was definitely the first time that I experienced that, where I was like, "Oh, this is basically just trying to get me to go see this movie." You know, but in as not a cool of a theater.
Yeah.
But it's, it's been around for sure, and I think that that was just an earlier example of it. Like it's become really more or less all encompassing, and I I liked what you guys were saying earlier about the story of Galaxy's Edge and everything. I mean, if you want to look at a bad way to incorporate an original story, like Galaxy's Edge is a pretty good example. And a good example, aka Indiana Jones, is like 10 minutes away down the walkway from
Mhm.
Galaxy's Edge, where that's like an original story, and that takes place between the movies, much like Galaxy's Edge does, but kind of pulls off a lot better, in my opinion. It could just be partially because of, I've been going on it since I was a kid, but
Mhm.
I think that there is a bit of a difference there, where it doesn't feel like wedged in. Like, I mean, Millennium Falcon feels very out of focus
Yeah.
to me. And
Yeah.
even like me writing it, like I said, I've seen Clone Wars, so I knew who, like, Han, I knew Onaka and like all of the other little characters running around and whatever story they're trying to tell. I honestly can't really remember. I remember him, but
Yeah.
like I I remember that part of it and being like, this feels kind of random. And I like knew who the character was. I was
Mhm.
You
like my
know,
first thought was was like, this feels like a really weird, like deep cut, you know?
if
Yeah.
if you want the best for what you said, the difference between the 2, Indiana Jones has been relatively untouched for over 30 years, I think,
Yeah.
at this point. Millennium
Yeah.
Mhm.
Falcon is already getting retconned and turned into something
Yeah.
completely out
They're
of universe
already changing it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
within
Yeah.
what, like, less than 10 years?
And they're
Like
packaging it in a Disney Plus series and
exactly,
Hmm.
completely nuking any like thematic timeline that they were originally trying to do.
Yeah.
exactly, and so that is where my fear came from
Yep.
Yeah, it's not like
with Epic.
Indiana Jones. Yeah, it's not like Indiana Jones every time, or when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out. It's not like they're like, "All right, we got to add in the aliens into,
Yeah, or
into the ride."
we gotta put in CG Chris we gotta put in old, young, Harrison Ford. Yeah,
Yeah.
Disney, just let the man retire in peace. Like, come on.
He loves that character, dude.
He loves
I
that
think
Same.
it's a
character.
his
Yeah.
problem.
Mhm.
Regardless,
Yeah,
yeah, but that's where my fear comes from for Epic, right?
sure.
And I was
Yeah.
talking earlier is like, Galaxy's Edge wasn't popular, it wasn't working, and instead of trying to work within the universe to make it work, they just threw in whatever, make it a marketing dumping ground for what okay, Pedro Pascal is big, let's put in Grogu and
Put him in
sell
order.
merch there. That makes no sense for what we just spent $1 billion trying to build, right? Like we spent a
Yeah.
billion on this original story, and then a few years it's not working that well. Let's not up the ante. Let's just throw in IP that makes no sense and see if that does anything. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be the same reaction for Epic because Universal has been able to avoid that generally speaking overall.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think like in the grander scheme of things, that is the. I mean, there is another land that I think comes to mind within Disney that has been there's a lot, but there's one land in particular that is the prime example of the absolute worst version of IP being built. But I'll let Spencer
Yes.
talk later. No, I mean Spencer's gonna smile. I think Spencer, you probably know what it is.
Avengers Campus?
Oh
Uh
yes, sir.
I was kind of
Avenge.
hoping it was going to be Avengers Campus.
I mean, it's crazy how that literally is a marketing ploy. That entire
Yeah.
land is a
Yeah.
marketing ploy. That entire land is a new property came out, dump the character in there, sell the merch, get the photo ops that then you can put on your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever to promote the movie. But there is nothing original I mean, guys, like it's crazy that and everyone's talked about this up the ass in these podcasts and this fear is that you know classic 90s TV show Spider-Man attraction, Adventures of Spider-Man and
Yeah.
Islands of Adventure is still around and still kicking ass, and Web Slingers is
Still
like,
has a consistent 45-minute wait. That's
And is
but
one of the
insane.
best dark rides in the world
and
of all
and Web
time.
Slingers is hated,
Yeah.
and web, but
Yeah.
it's the intention behind it. Like Web Slingers was made to promote the movies and to sell little bots and little thingies,
There's
and
also no
And is
story, right? It's just
literally a shittier version of a ride that already exists in the park.
mhm.
yeah,
That
yeah, but
also doesn't really have a story, but kind of works,
Yeah.
um, in Midway
yeah,
Mania.
so that's my fear, and I mean, and there is a more theoretical thing I'll talk about later with terms of what IP has done, and we. But I want to let you guys talk. 'Cause I'm hogging the mic.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I just think that we're at a point where Disney has definitely taken all the wrong lessons. Did Disney has like
Yeah.
I mean, what is the last original? The closest I think we have to an original story being built is probably Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah.
Um, because that
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah.
because I can't even say Tiana's is original.
It's not.
It's
No.
not, it really isn't, and I mean, Guardians, sure, I'll give them their
Guardians
flowers.
is one of the ones I would say they did well.
Yeah,
That is a
both of them,
story
both of
within
them,
Both of them.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
both of them.
Because it's such a vague like, obviously, there's 3 films, but that's such an expansive universe to do things with.
Yeah.
Like, the cosmic side of Marvel has really not,
And
like
smart on like Mission Breakout that
yeah,
to
Yeah,
like
great.
utilize a character that people wanted to know more about.
The
Like
Collector,
the
yeah.
yeah, like that
Yeah,
was smartly conceptualized,
it
like
expands on the story.
and one of the few I feel like revamps of an existing attraction that sold well for me. Like I mean,
Yeah.
shit, if we're talking about the same park, definitely sells a hell of a lot better to me than the, Incredicoaster,
Yeah.
which is just a ridiculous fucking storyline that like we decided to build a coaster in your honor. Like even I can even buy Velocicoaster's story more than that, but
Velocicoaster, yeah, because it works in the world of Jurassic World being in a living theme park, and
yeah.
the first
And
movie
because
is
they
them
always do
building.
stupid shit.
Yeah,
And
them building a
Yeah.
new dinosaur to
Also, dude,
revolutionize tourists. So
yeah,
Velocicoaster is like
it kind of
an
works. Like
in-universe attraction that would be at
yeah,
that theme
yeah,
yeah,
park.
it would
for sure.
100% be
Yeah.
something they do. Also, Chris Pratt gave it his all in that performance in that ride.
Dude,
Like, I
shout
gotta
out
dude
FYA. That is like the
dude,
best performance
it's
in a
so
theme park
crazy. I was
Wow.
listening to it,
Yeah.
after I listened to FYA Pod, I was like, I think when we went this last year, I was there and I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, he is really
He's crushing it.
selling
He
this. He's
really
Yeah.
gave
so
it
good."
to yeah.
But yeah, like, again, it's expanding on a pre-established story, and I don't know, like, literally, I have just seen, I mean, Universal has kind of made
Oh, they've
mistakes
done
with
that. I
this. They've made
mean,
mistakes with this. They
Jimmy
definitely
Fallon,
Oh god.
Simpsons. But even Simpsons is an original story, I
And
guess.
Simpsons was popular
It
when it
was, but
came
Fallon
out
is
for
like a
sure.
disaster. I mean,
Yeah.
Fallon is such a nightmare attraction.
That just felt
Um,
like such a weird
that
out there
synergy gone
thing.
completely wrong.
Also
Yeah, here,
no one fucking asked for that.
Oh
NBC the
You
no.
ride,
know?
baby.
Yeah, literally
NBC the
like the
ride.
queue is just a recreation of that set, and you're like, neat?
Yeah, it's like
But,
what?
I'll defend it to the extent of it fits within the park, at least.
Sure,
At
Yeah.
least
it does.
it is about the movie making process and everything, and you are walking into the studio. The ride is dumb, but, it's better
Yeah.
than Minion Mayhem, I'll give you that. Uh,
Hey,
no,
and speaking of minions, that's like I do
yeah.
want to recognize Epic Universe for that and
Yeah,
Universal
staying
Create
clear,
because
staying clear.
but like stayed clear of that for because I'm not a fan of it, but like I understand that millions of people are a fan of it some fucking how. I don't
And it's
It's a
understand that, but
huge cash
but
kids,
cow.
baby, kid.
whatever. Anyway, I can respect that some people are fans of it, but that main essential main street that is original in Epic Universe very could have easily been themed as like a as minions or illumination in general or DreamWorks animation. Like they didn't have to do something original there,
Yeah.
and it still would have worked with the park because you're going through those portals to other worlds. They could have made that essential station that you're taking off from. They could have themed that to anything,
I mean, when you
and
walk into Universal Studios Florida, it's basically Minions Main
yeah,
Street.
it really is. Like, you know what I mean? They could have just
Yeah,
as
I didn't think
easily
about that.
themed it to anything else, but they didn't. And
Yeah.
I can respect that,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about the marketing thing though? About
I
the
think
marketing take and where uh, are we
you mean
doomed?
turning the park into Disney Plus? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I mean for other things. I mean, are we
Yeah.
doomed to see that now forever? Are we
like
is that
like
gonna be a while?
is it going to become Peacock the Park?
I think Universal Studios Florida might,
It already
honestly, because
is, and so is Universal Studios Hollywood, and
Yeah.
why it doesn't seem as offensive, and you don't see people, like, rioting online is because it works within the confines of what those theme parks are.
yeah.
They are
Yeah.
themed for better or worse, mainly worse. They are themed to sound stages and backlot, and so it doesn't feel as of much of a betrayal as California Adventure had a narrative through line,
Oh,
right?
what
And
a
that
Yeah.
what a
they've just completely nuked and they stopped caring. And like, I'm
it's
sorry, like Avengers Campus saying this is an Avengers training ground in California is not satisfactory theming.
Yeah.
It just looks like a parking lot.
it's
And with
horrible.
buildings, and it's like that's
Yeah.
not good enough. You've
Even
built a
Bugs
Six
Land
Flags
was like
land.
more themed out than
Bugs Land
that.
was awesome. Like it shrunk you down. Like obviously it was like lame and the attractions weren't very good, but like
Hey,
Yeah.
tough to
it
be a
was like
bug.
yeah, it's
That
like a
shit was
obviously like a very
fucking
classic
horrifying.
40s show. And yeah, it's terrifying. But like it still was like fun and clever and like, hey, I'm small and Heimlich's Choo Choo Train is fun and
Ugh.
like There's good
top
ideas
tier.
there, you
It,
know?
it's.
It's
I'm
weird
glad.
that Mission
Yeah.
Breakout worked better before Avengers Campus for me than after,
That is weird.
because
Yeah.
it makes less
So
sense
weird.
now.
It makes so much less
Yeah.
sense. Like
It's like, why
like
is the
why would you?
Collector on the Avenger Campus?
Yeah, they let him in. They were like, "Yeah, dude, just come here, just come park it.
Yeah.
Here's the rate we have for
Why is
touring."
Spider-Man building little wind-up robots when the Guardians are kidnapped 15 feet the other way? Why
Yeah,
isn't
it
he
doesn't.
helping?
Why do you have random Avengers showing up,
Bro,
right?
if
Yeah.
we're
Like for
talking
meet and
about
greets.
why isn't he helping? He's not even helping in any of the MCU projects, bro.
That's true. But that's
He's
that I
just
can give the benefit of the doubt of these are movies trying to tell a story. But
yeah,
if you're telling me I'm walking into the world and like and then they did clever things, like the Stuntronic is cool. Like there's a lot of cool ideas where I can
when it
see
works.
Imagineering like doing their absolute best to break through the like studio meddling muck
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
cool idea. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like they're so and maybe this is in the past now, but the Chapek era did so much damage to
Know
the
if it's in the
thematic element of that park,
I
of those
I
Is
don't
it
parks.
in the rear view? I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so. I don't think
I
so because
Yeah, who knows?
look at the upcoming slate of attractions for the parks. And that's
Yeah,
where I mean,
Sure.
I'm hoping, Animal Kingdom at least always has been the one that has been able to survive and
I was
keep
about to
its
say that.
creative and narrative
Yeah.
through line and feel like a proper theme park of days gone.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about what they're
South
bringing
America.
to that park. I mean,
Yeah.
but it kind of I think it still survives. The ones I'm more worried about is like DCA at this point. I mean, Coco, sure, Coco makes sense. Sorry, but
Yeah.
what the fuck does Avatar have to do with
I
California?
I will go
Um,
on the train right now. I don't want it to happen. I understand that there
yeah,
will be a cool attraction built, but when I heard
Yeah.
that announcement, my first thought was, I'd rather not.
yeah.
Or could we just change the goddamn name of the park?
Yeah,
Like,
I've been
why
saying
At
are
this
this
we
forever.
still
Name
point,
it Disney
calling it
Worlds of
that?
Adventure. Like,
yeah,
fuck
like
it.
Yeah.
literally
Like,
at this point, there's nothing.
why do it?
The California we have left is, I mean, my favorite part of the park, to be honest, though,
Yeah.
which
Buena
is
Vista Street is
Grizzly?
the best themed part of that
no,
park.
Buena Vista and Grizzly. Grizzly
Yes, I
still
agree.
Yeah.
somehow,
Yeah.
and I think the only reason we do that is because it would be too expensive to retheme, or they don't want to waste
A
the money on
giant
retheming.
Yeah.
rapids ride in
Not
Soren.
even
Yeah,
that.
So
No,
much
totally.
landscaping. Oh my god.
Oh,
their
excellent point.
hotel the
Yeah.
hotel
Yeah.
is like, so that part of the park is like the little bit of remnants we have of like what California Adventure was supposed to be. And I guess
Yeah.
to an extent Radiator Springs Racers, like that does still feel
Kinda
within the
works.
world of
Route
California.
66, yeah.
But like even let's look at Epcot, right? Epcot is a shell of what it used to be, and everyone says that. And it's going to continue to be that way because it's just an IP dumping ground. Hollywood Studios was fine. That can do its own thing. Whatever. No one liked
That's
it in
like
the first place.
Universal where
Yeah,
it's such a poorly constructed theme
but
park to begin with
even
that who cares, you
and
know?
but I mean, look at what they're gonna do with Magic Kingdom. I mean, you're getting rid of Tom Sawyer Island to put a Cars attraction in there. That
Crazy.
makes no sense. That like, why are you? It makes sense in California Adventure. It's California is a car state where car culture is so big, and we have
Route
those big mount,
66 is
and
literally
we
in the
have
movie.
those, but we have those landscapes like that exists within the West. Like that is
You
a
also
thing that
already have a
exists.
Cars Land. Or wait,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is this in are they doing that at both parks or
No, Magic
the
Kingdom is
So
the only
they
one getting
cut
it.
the Lightning McQueen show in Hollywood Studios, it's gone.
Yeah, it's Magic.
Oh, okay.
But so like, but it's great. It's really interesting to me that they're doing that there. That's great. It's bad because like we're lucky enough that for now in California, lucky enough that you for some luckily Walt's stuff is holy, is
They
untouchable,
won't,
and
yeah.
Sure.
you
Yeah.
can never touch it. But that speaks to the direction of the
Corporate
thing.
hasn't stopped caring about that. The day that
Yeah.
happens, Disneyland is toast. And they're like tiptoeing around it, right?
Messed up.
They put
Yeah,
Galaxy's Edge in there and they're like they redid Toontown, but it still works because Mickey and Minnie like but they're tiptoeing around it. Eventually they're gonna do
yeah.
something crazy.
So yeah,
Um,
it's like the IP thing there is like I don't think the Chapek direction and the marketing direction is in the rear view mirror because
okay.
now, you have so many. I mean, now wait for Tomorrowland the end of this year. Wait for Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom when Tron Ares comes out and they have a Tron ride. So that's gonna be
Yeah.
overlay up the ass with promoting that movie. You're gonna have whatever Pixar does now with Cars, Monsters Inc. Those things are gonna be forever. And it's weird, like the and Hollywood Studios getting rid of Muppet Vision, which is like everyone's,
Bummer.
that was an original, that was Jim Henson's last work.
Fucking
And now
travesty.
what are you doing? You're going, I mean, Monsters Inc. door coaster, great. Like that should have been in there. You want to do a cool IP idea? Sure. Like,
Yeah.
great. I like it. I'm happy for it. But then you're just
That
going to
feels like
retheme.
an Imagineer had on his like desk that he
Yeah,
was
yeah, but
working on for
you're
years.
retheming Rock and Roller Coaster to the Muppets and been calling that a day. Like that's the solution. So
Why
I
not
don't.
just build the Monsters Land there and get rid of Star Wars Launch Bay? Is the answer they just sell enough merchandise in Star Wars Launch Bay that they're not willing to do
Yeah,
it? Like, I don't
I don't
Like the
understand.
know.
meet
I
and
don't know the
greets, do you
answer.
think they sell that many photos?
It's
Maybe,
not
dude.
selling, but those meet and greets again, marketing crossover.
Yeah, people
It
post on
is,
social
Yeah.
media with Darth Vader or with whoever, and
and
it
Yeah.
gets yeah.
so yeah. I mean, I don't know what the direction of that company is going to be. I mean, and it's funny how they have just. It seems like Epic came out and they did take all the wrong lessons. I think your fear was like they're gonna get all the wrong lessons. No, we've passed that
They're already
threshold.
doing it.
They're already
Yeah.
doing it.
They
They're
did it
already
pre-opening because they were like, we have to
Yeah. It's
announce a million
already
IP things.
no, it's
And, like, they're
already
gonna be
2
immersive
separate
and cool.
approaches.
it's
Mhm.
Yeah.
already yeah, and they're going in this direction. I mean, Tiana's is crazy because that one lent itself to play
Oh,
both
yeah.
well. You could have done such
Yeah.
cool things where you told an
Especially in
original story.
Disneyland, where you have a New
Yeah.
Orleans land right next
You
door.
you literally could have done something
Yeah.
so interesting and unique with that, and instead, you put some really cool figures in there, and I mean, no one is doubting their ability to create the most
Of course
lifelike
not.
animatronics,
Of
but,
course not.
at the same time, Universal's catching up, they're not that far behind, they're getting so much better, but, like, the what
Monsters
is the
Unchained supposedly has the best
yeah.
animatronics in the
What
world.
what is that ride experience? Like, there's no narrative. Like, Splash Mountain, for all its faults, and I respect what they did. I respect
I
them.
don't hate that they closed Splash Mountain. I
No,
agree.
no, I'm not against it either. I'm like, you know
No.
what? That is, regardless of what the ride was, and if it wasn't a direct representation of what the movie stood for, it is still a problematic thing, and
Yeah.
we should move forward and be good with that. So, it's not that
Yeah.
they closed it; it's that they replaced it with something that is such a nothing burger. That is such clearly well, now we have an outlet to sell Prince and the Frog merch, and now maybe if this
Yeah.
tests well enough in the parks, maybe we can
We're
do
gonna
a
do a
reboot,
live action
a
remake.
live
Yeah.
action remake,
Oh,
we'll
god
do.
damn it.
None of it feels like there is creative intent, and I mean, Galaxy's Edge is such a painful lesson for me because what they tried to do, I
It was so exactly. Like, it's like the ideas are there, and
Yeah.
when I'm, like, complaining about it, I'm like, "But they had an idea." And I think the thing with Giannis is they didn't have an idea.
no,
Like,
no, Disney.
someone said, "We should replace it with Princess and the Frog," and it was 2020, and it was a hyper political environment, and they said, "That's a great idea." And with Disneyland, all of us could see the vision, and then it came out, and it was like, it's just a book report. There's no story.
I mean, it's the funniest thing is it's not supposed to be a book report.
No, it's not,
It's
but it
supposed to be a
feels that way.
continuation. It's like, look, there's this character. Also, I don't know what's up with Disney as of late of not putting people in peril in rides. It was really funny because for a
True.
while I feel like that trope got tired out. And so we were like, "Oh, it's great that Radiator Springs Racers has no antagonist. It's just like a race." And there's all these rides that don't have the "you are
Resistance
in
does,
peril" trope.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of the, Mickey and Minnie does have the peril. Like, but then with this one, it's like the end is a drop. You have Facilier. Like, you can find a cute or maybe create a new villain. Why not? Why not? Give us something. I don't know. They're so conflicting right now into where they are, and I mean, but that's the company as a whole. I don't think that's just the theme
Yeah.
parks. I think the theme parks are just a symptom of the company at large. I mean, I
Terrified of doing the wrong thing.
no, they're
It's
going for what
focus
works.
group to death,
Yeah.
I think, too,
Yeah.
and I think that with stuff like talked about Animal Kingdom, and I'm sorry if I'm ranting, but I can,
No, go
I
for it. I love
Animal
Animal Kingdom.
Kingdom is my favorite theme park in the world, which I know is, like, a super hot take for a lot of people,
I love
and
that park.
I've been to Tokyo Disney
It's my
Sea.
favorite Disney World park. So,
Yeah, I've been to Tokyo Disney Sea. It's unbelievable, and as someone who, like, loves Jules Verne, it's really unbelievable, but to me, Animal Kingdom was, like, one of the first times I'd walked in somewhere and felt like I was walking into, like, someone's
so
artistic vision.
yeah.
Like, Joe Rohde
Yeah.
just had this killer idea, and he planned it all out, and I think even with the infusion of IP there, there's even Pandora, like, I don't think he had an idea. I think someone said, "Hey, we can get the rights to this, the biggest franchise in the world. Cook, like, think of something. And he did, and it works. And he
Yeah, and I
created
didn't
this
expect it
lived-in
to
world,
work.
but it still intertwines with conservation and environmentalism, and that
That's
because
perfect. It's
he's so effing
Yeah.
brilliant, he's like my
It
hero, that he made it work. He made this, like, what was a terrible idea,
yeah.
like, a
so
horrible idea, and he made it work.
It fits shockingly well in
Yes.
that
oh,
park.
It
so
Like,
does
good.
not in
it's
California
really
Adventure, and that's the wrong lesson, is Avatar big, put Avatar
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
No.
It's gonna do great.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think this leads into really well into my next point on the
please.
IPification of things in general is, and this is my nostalgic wannabe purist within this industry coming out. But when this industry first born, right? When this was developing into something, there was room, and this is also is really funny how all this ties into the film industry too. But there was room
Very
Yeah.
similar.
for
Yeah.
creatives to tell original stories and for people to kind of get an understanding of who the creatives were. The creatives played a big part in developing these worlds. That's how you got, the Bob Gurrs of the world and the Mark Davises and
Tony
all these the Tony,
Baxter.
yeah,
Mhm.
these original creators who are allowed to tell original stories. And so back then that's how you get, you know, rides that have become an IP in their own right. Right? That's how
Yeah.
you get your Haunted Mansion,
Rolly
which is
Crump and Haunted
Yeah.
Mansion and
yeah,
Museum of the Weird and these things that,
but the creators were the ones who were had the focus on telling a creative story, and then you created IP as a result. That the parks, like Pirates of the Caribbean, group gave life to a franchise that has made so much money. But that's because and that ride is still around today with minimal IP interaction. Sure, you have whatever your
your
random Johnny
Jack,
Depps that
yeah.
appear, but
Yeah.
aside from that, that is something that's been around since the 1960s. Haunted Mansion since I think the 70s. Space Mountain for a long time you were able to tell original stories within these parks and the creators came first, right? Like it was like back in the day in the film industry in the 90s, 80s, whatever, where the directors still kind of mattered. Which I'm not saying they don't as much today, but really we've had seen this shift where the IP replaces the creatives, the stars, the directors, whatever behind the project. And that's my fear with IP in theme parks and something that we've
Mhm.
lost completely. And I don't think you go back from. I don't think there is a way to go back with these big boys is yeah, we have to, like we're saying, good job for Epic for doing what it could within the parameters, but we can't go back to that world
No.
where
That is, like I said, it's the best case scenario in this
yeah,
world.
but you
Yeah.
can't go back to
Yeah.
like Joe Rody being able to get a green light to make it a conservation themed theme park. Like we're never going to see that again. That or at least not for a very long time. You're never going to get, how do you get somebody who loves horror and somebody who loves comedy to make a haunted attraction and tell a story that they have to make those two visions coexist and create something like Haunted Mansion or a Pirates where it's just a story that lives in its own right. Like these original things are not going to. I mean, the last true original thing we had, guys, was 2006. That's 10 years now. 20 years now, almost
Was
with
it Expedition Everest?
Expedition Everest. But
Yeah.
but that was like okay, hey, Bax, not Back. Oh my God, Rhodey knows how to is a great storyteller. Rhodey has delivered success. Give him another project. Trust the creative to make his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
know what
and
the
that
production process of that was like, right? They came to him and said, "We need a thrill ride."
exactly.
So they didn't say, "You have to make a thrill ride with blah, 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 blah," and he's so damn talented, he would've made it work anyway, but they said, "We need a thrill ride," and he said, "Okay, I have this idea." Right? Like that, and that's how it used to work as a director. It's a great point. It's like a film director.
It's like a film
Yeah.
director. Like you could trust the vision of your creative leads
Uh-huh.
to deliver an experience that would last and be iconic. And it's crazy because like even Everest, which I mean Disco Yeti, right? Like a ride that
Sure. Big old flop, yeah.
its main feature doesn't work. And it's still iconic. Like
Yeah.
people love that thing. It is an IP
Yeah.
at this point within its own
It's
right.
it's gotta
Absolutely.
be, like, my favorite ride in Disney World. Maybe actually might be second to the OG Twilight Zone, but
That's a oh,
yeah.
what a great yeah. So
Definitely my
that's
favorite coaster that they
yeah.
have.
But so
Oh, yeah.
and that's where I'm at. I'm like, do you guys see a world where we can go back
Yeah.
to that? Does that exist? Are we completely far gone? Are we ever going to get something of like, hey, this creative at Imagineering or Universal is incredible, and people even within the fan community know who they are, know their name. Are people going to know? Imagineers' names 20 years from now? Are people gonna know Universal Creatives leads names 20 years from now? Like, they're not celebrities. They're not like a Spielberg by any chance or like a
No.
Tom Cruise, but people knew who Tony Baxter was. People knew who Joe Rody was. They
Oh, yeah.
knew that they knew the creatives and they knew like, oh, this person is helming this right. It's going to be good. This world, whatever, you're going to get a good attraction. That's why Breakout's so good. Breakout
Yeah, I
is
was gonna
helmed by
say.
Joe
Yeah.
Rody. So
Yeah.
When that
is
came
that
out, I was like, no one was mad anymore. It was like,
and
"Oh, okay."
it's so crazy now too because like we're now you have college programs that are
Yeah.
dedicated to this. This industry is now a thing. It's booming. It's become
Yeah.
something that people study and want to do
Yeah.
and want to be artistic in because as a purely as a concept, it is such an unique and forward-thinking industry that has proved to where you can make timeless things, but the amount of money that is invested at this level, you need now that green light from the higher ups. What happens now? Like now we are in this landscape, we have entered this. When is the next time we are going to see an original attraction? Like, even though you can have I know, Spencer, you love Dino Land, and people hate it, whatever. Dino Land was an original
Yeah.
concept.
It
Countdown to
was, yeah.
Extinction. It was not even
Dude.
based on the movie yet.
Yeah. So do are we gonna see this again? Like, is there a way forward for it to go back to or not go back to, but evolve from trusting especially now that the labor market's gonna be so there's so many more people wanting to get into this, and it's getting so big, and some people are so enthusiastic about wanting to work in this industry. Like, the talent pool is bigger and bigger, but does that just lead to a sausage machine studio system like we have in the film industry for so many things? Or is there a way now for creative to, with the new resources we have, to break through and get back to these visionary creatives who worked in this to tell something that's going to be timeless? Or are we going to be stuck with IP that gets shifted out every 20, 30 years?
I think like we keep talking about the best case scenario, but I feel like your best case scenario moving forward is for these major parks that are attached and or owned by the same conglomerate that own movie studios and streaming services, which, was always kind of the case with Disney and Universal, but obviously streaming has completely upended that, how we see that. I think that your kind of best case scenario is like Pandora. I think I'm glad that we touched upon that because that's a situation where the park was pre-existing. It had a theme, a very strong theme, and the creatives were not willing to let the theming of the park suffer because of one IP that they had to implement. And so they found a way to mold that IP, which luckily it's an IP that has a lot of conservationist themes in the movie, right?
Right.
But
Sure. That's a
so
good
that
point.
that helped it out for sure. And I think it was also a matter of we need to implement Avatar some way we can get the rights. Which, the park where it makes the most sense is Animal Kingdom because of the themes of the movie versus the themes of the park. I think that that was probably part of it too, where it matched well. But in terms of that, if you think about the Navi River journey, is that what the ride's called? Uh, like that is such a, I mean, too short in my opinion, but it's such a unique ride
Hmm.
experience. It is not putting you, in a thrilling combat situation like a lot of other IP based attractions do. It it lets you sit and live through the world for 10 minutes, and just admire the beauty of that world because that is what a lot of the movie is about, and it's what the park itself, Animal Kingdom, is about, is just taking it all in, and like, what mother nature is capable of. And so I think that you have great scenarios like that where the creatives are like, okay, we have to include this IP. How can we mold that to what we want this park to be? How can we find how can we find themes that might already exist in that IP that also match what we're trying to do with this park? And I think that for something like Epic Universe, I haven't been there myself, so I can't say how well it does stuff like that, but it seems like people are really enjoying, the different properties and stuff. I don't know much about like what is original there, so I can't say like what the themes of the park are or anything,
Mhm.
obviously. But to me, that's what makes Avatar work in Animal Kingdom, which is probably the most recent, really well done rendition of implementing a major IP into a pre-existing park. Obviously, Epic Universe is just going to be different because it's not a pre-existing park.
Mhm.
It's completely new, so the way that they're approaching it is different and modern, and so a lot of this I think is just going to be a case study in
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
regards.
It's almost perfectly, well, we already said this, but it's perfectly engineered to
Yeah.
hold IP, right?
Yeah.
I guess the question is, do people want original stuff,
And I was going to
right?
kind of ask that earlier, is like, if you made essentially an Animal Kingdom park now in 2025 from scratch, would people be interested in that in the same way that they were when it first came out in what was late 90s or whatever, uh when it
98,
first
97,
opened.
I
I think
think.
so.
Yeah.
When it first opened, like, it's my gut is to say yes, but I also, I don't know, I can't say that nothing else has been completely built from the ground up to have an original, completely original theme since then, really, in terms of these two gigantic conglomerates,
Volcano
obviously.
Bay? Question mark.
Volcano Bay,
Well,
but that's
Typhoon
also a
Lagoon,
water park,
Blizzard
so it's serving a
Beach. Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
purpose. So I don't know if
Also, they make
you know,
so much less money than theme parks do.
I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's such a lower stakes
When they
investment that
announced they're
Lane
going
said,
seasonal with it,
yeah, I think, or
with
something
Volcano
happened.
Bay, I
Or
think I saw
they're
something
like
about
stripping
that.
back some element of theming or something.
Yeah.
I read that
Yeah.
too. I'm not like a huge water park head to where
Me
I'm
neither.
like
I don't think
super in
any of
that
us are.
world. Yeah,
Dude,
but
I
like,
fucking rock the slides, bro.
yeah, Lane Dead likes it more than you and I do. But I think with that, it's like they can do
No,
something
I
more
think I
clever.
think water parks are gross, just for the
They
record.
are gross, and it's because they don't. But also, like, to run those attractions, you need two people. Like, it's a slide.
Yeah.
It's gravity, so it's a lot lower of an investment to where they don't need to have a Moana themed water park because it would just be a waste of like
Yeah.
energy and creative input. Where they can just do a like general but fun themed idea like Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon, Volcano
Sure.
Bay, and they can just kind of do that. So yeah, I think that's kind of a weird pocket
Yeah.
dimension.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
Yeah.
Toby,
I
please.
just looked this up. So the Tapu Tapu is going away, which
Yeah, which is
I
a
fuck, we
know.
need to
shame.
we
Rest
need
in
to do an
peace.
entire episode on the
Rest in
Tapu
peace.
Tapu and how
You can buy
oddly
treats and souvenirs.
souvenirs. Tapu Tapu. If nobody knows what we're talking about, it's the
You've never stayed in a Universal hotel and left the
yeah.
TV on.
Oh man,
Oh, dude, we
if you ever stay in one of the hotels that's near Volcano Bay, primarily Cabana Bay, there is an entire channel about the water park, and there's a man on there that just makes just absolutely a fucking cartoon character who explains
Sells
to
the
you,
hell out of the Tapu
sells
dude,
the
Tapu.
hell out of the Tapu Tapu.
we were shit faced walking around Horror Nights, and just the Tapu Tapu joke was like 3 days nonstop. Just
Crushing.
Yeah.
nonstop of us walking around. Yo, can you Tapu Tapu that? Because it's
Can
also just
I
such a stupid name.
It's so
can I pay for
stupid.
the express pass with my Tapu Tapu?
Do they take Tapu Tapu for the roasted nuts?
I love it. I love the
Do you
Tapu
take my
Tapu.
Tapu Tapu here?
Yeah, it's
So
so
yeah, Tapu
dumb.
Tapu will be and okay, so Tapu
They
Tapu
asked a
wearable
I'm
and
sorry,
virtual.
they asked a white guy, they were like, "What's a Polynesian sounding word
Oh
for
my god.
tapping?" I don't know,
Fucking
tapu
absolutely.
tapu? Like,
And
Tapu
he was like,
Tapu.
dude, yes. Hey, I got a
What do
buddy
you
working on Lilo
that's
and
it.
Stitch. You should go work on that next.
yeah.
Tapu
So
tapu.
like this park is gonna be kind of like, Hawaiian
Hawaiian,
or
yeah.
Polynesian themed in general. So like, everything's gonna have have a crazy name, like this slide's gonna be called Slippity Woppity Doo. and
Slippity Woppity. I
and
love a ride called the Slippity Woppity Doo.
and I mean, you can look up the names of these rides; they're
Yeah,
fucking
no, there.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
But we need, a wearable for the virtual queue that's going to be waterproof and will also be able to tap against to join the virtual queue, and then you can go to the wave pool or whatever. Wave pools are a death trap, by the way. Don't ever get in them.
yeah.
Uh, and the very fucking first thing that they suggested, I promise you, I will bet $1 million. This is the very first suggestion was, how about Tapu Tapu? Because you tap it. And they said, that's what we're going with.
It's
It is
so
so
stupid.
fucking stupid and also kind of problematic, maybe.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's like just something that
It's
sounds
funnier every
vaguely
time I think about
Polynesian.
it. Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just
like,
Dude, rest in peace,
yeah.
Tapu
rest in
Tapu.
peace
So
to the
October
oh
1st,
my god.
2025, the Tapu Tapus and the virtual queues apparently will be gone. I don't know if that means there's not going to be a replacement for virtual queues there.
I don't think
Maybe
they need
not
it
enough
anymore.
people go there to for
Yeah.
Yeah,
it. Yeah, to
attendance is
warrant
way
doing that.
down.
And then it will be seasonally closed from October 26th,
That part
2026 to March 24th, 2027.
that may not be around in like the next 10 years, man.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
That
so
It
that
it
just
will be
opened in
closed for,
2017. It's fairly
yeah,
recent.
yeah,
October to
but it's just
March.
not doing
That's
well.
so like half the year it's going to be closed. That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
for that market.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
Anyway,
I don't know.
yeah, Toby, go ahead. We were saying, do people want original stuff? And then we
he's
memed.
talking
So,
about Tapu
Toby,
Tapu.
please go ahead.
I don't, well, the Tapu Tapu was original.
That's
It
Um,
true.
was original. So is that guy. He was an
Oh,
original
he's
character,
a
I'll
one of
say.
a
I
kind.
want him in every theme park attraction ever made. I want him to be the Chris Pratt of theme park attractions, even though there is a
On
Chris
the
Pratt.
Frankenstein experiment, the monsters try to get you.
I'd like him to like I would never want Patrick Warburton replaced on
Never.
on Soren, but if anybody was going to, I want that guy.
Tapu Tapu, baby. Anyway,
Buckle
I
up.
mean, look. If it, here's the thing with Disney, for better or for worse, you got like a cult like following.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You
Not even
could build,
cult. It's a mainstream
yeah.
impact.
You
Yeah.
got a religious following, man. People love that shit. People, I mean, that's the only reason they're still afloat because they've been pumping out trash after trash. Um, but but I'm not wrong. Name the
No,
last
no.
great.
Buy it. Yeah.
Name the last great Disney movie. I'll wait. Um, uh, while I
Uh
go on this rant, think of
Saving
one.
Mr. Banks question mark. I
Do
don't
you
know.
remember that movie? Because I don't.
I
I
do, but
do.
yeah.
I do.
Um,
I don't know.
but regardless, I don't know, man. You have the brand. I mean, I'm sure if you put something new out, original, people would still show up as it's Disney.
That's
So
interesting.
like, I
I
don't.
guess, but do people want it? Does it make enough interest money to justify it, or is it
Oh,
just on their laurels of this is Disneyland and people are
Well,
going
I
to be there
mean,
anyway?
I
Lone
mean,
Lone Ranger was great. That
are you
was great.
serious?
God.
Are you serious? Are
Oh
you
yeah,
serious?
favorite movie, dude.
Oh no.
Razzie winning Lone Ranger was great. This goes to a weird conversation I have, which is with this industry as a whole, which is another episode I do want to do at some point, which is the artistic merit of this industry. Um, which is like I think it goes to that. It's like they don't care about it, right? Like
Yeah.
theme parks, I guess, to these people are not really artistic. I mean, to
Mm-mm.
the people working on them, designing them, creating them, it is, but to the higher ups, they don't care. And it's tough. It's tough to get original stories out because like how do you get an original story on this scale out if it's not through one of these companies? Like how do you get something this impressive? How do you get a Pirates out if you don't have the backing of a Disney or Universal behind you? I mean, yeah, again, Efteling's been doing it and other European parks have been doing it, but like
Much
and it's
smaller.
Shanghai actually did have an original attraction, I think. Didn't they have that raft? They had that raft ride with the giant creature. I wanna go on that so bad. I haven't been to that
Yeah.
park yet, but,
Roaring
like, just
Rapids,
that
I think it's
giant
called.
yeah, the monster
The
creature there, that
crocodile
sounds
thing. Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I I don't think people know what they want half
That's a
the time.
great point.
I think you're also gonna always have the people who like Disney will drop I don't know, a literal turd and put freaking Grogu ears on it and be like, here's your grow shit, and they're like, oh my god, a grow shit. It's limited time. I'll go buy a grow shit. you know? Or I don't know. Oh my god, the Mandalorian turd? I'll go buy a Mandalorian turd. Like they don't care what it is as long as it's got the branding of their IP. I mean, those people exist at
Yeah,
anything, and I mean that's why we're where we are now. And
sure.
I'm not to shit on the fan base. It's
No,
just like
people. I'm glad
it's
people love things.
and
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
just
glad
like
people are
is
happy.
the fact of the matter is I just don't think enough people are ever going to complain about it. I think Disney, because I mean, dude, even with the direction they've been going in and the trash they've been spewing, like truly such mediocre attractions in whatever, people still go.
Yeah.
People still pay. You
Absolutely.
say to yourself, "All right, they've raised the prices to an unimaginable number. They've done all these things that you think would hinder." I mean, dude, just going to Disneyland is like a whole process. It's
Yeah.
insane. You have
Yeah.
to you've got to reserve a day, and then you got to, the parking's a whole thing, and then you have to use Genie Plus because fuck you, and then you have to, they virtual system for a new ride, virtual queue, and it's like you have to do work to go to these parks, and
Yeah.
the numbers are
You have
still
to do research. Yeah.
so and the numbers are they don't drop. So, like, at the same time, that is the sad part to me. I'm like, people don't care. Most people, the general public, and it's not a bad thing, right? They just wanna go to the parks with their family, they'll go for a few hours, distract their kids, drink a few whatever, go out, see their favorite characters, and fuck off. I mean, that's why these events that Disney does that are so bad, god, their events suck. They're like Oogie Boogie Bash, and it's just character meet and greets,
Sure.
there's nothing cool or unique to it, still sell out like crazy because
Yeah.
people aren't I don't think general public cares. General public is like, "I saw that in movie. I remember that. I'm gonna get a picture for my Instagram. People are gonna like it. There's my dopamine hit. Bye-bye."
Right.
So, like, and it's not it's not shitting on them. It's just kinda like it's the sad reality
No,
of,
I
like,
can see what you mean.
there's this weirdo in me that wants this industry to have that, that's why I fell in love with it, that artistic merit and that exploration front of, getting to explore a new medium for storytelling and do unique stuff. And I don't know within the scope of these two companies what's ever going to happen unless there is a cataclysmic collapse in one of their attendances. I mean, I think we're just going to have to rely on the outside, smaller scale stuff that's not even a theme park anymore to get those original stories that were once made, that made Disney what it was. Disney is here because of original storytelling. I don't see it unless the fan base suddenly is just like, "Hey, man, we're bored of freaking Mandalorian." Um, I don't
Yeah.
see it happening.
I don't
I
think.
don't see it happening.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't think regardless of what people want, you don't think people don't know what they want. You don't see it happening. Like it's good. This is gonna keep going down this
I think
direction.
most people who go to a theme park think the way we
Oh,
do.
for sure. That's entirely true.
Yeah.
I think to piggyback off that a bit, Disney specifically, and Universal to a lesser degree, but Disney is such a cultural institution. Like generations of family, we're going to Disney. It's
Yeah.
not even about the rides, it's just about the trip and the experience, and like taking a picture with like your kid and with Mickey Mouse is like an American staple.
Yeah.
So I think to
Yeah.
unseat that is such a dramatic thing, and that's what, Universal's trying with Epic and all this stuff. It's not even just to unseat them, but to just be on the same level. Uh,
Yeah. For sure.
but I think what's a fascinating thing that's happened in recent years is these cult followings of original things. So, for instance, like we're all three
Yeah.
of us are Halloween Horror Nights heads. Little Boo is one of the most bizarre developments in theme parks. This was a decoration on Wicked Growth 2. It was a Halloween Horror Nights house that was an original IP. And Halloween Horror Nights, the original houses are always better, and people love them. But people go to HHN, they make their money with their Last of Us, with their Friday the 13th, with their IP,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But it's a blank check movie, right? You got to do those to make the good ones. Um,
Hey, I
but Little
mean, look,
Boo,
both Toby and I bought Last of Us
yeah,
shirts when we were
of
there.
course.
Yeah.
Like we're all
Think I
people.
bought a Last of Us shirt.
Oh,
Well,
I'm I bought two.
I
I
don't
had
have
their
one.
like
I don't
weird
have one.
mushroom spaghetti, whatever it was called. But
Oh, that. Yeah.
yeah, which was
Yeah.
it was ravioli. It was ravioli,
Yeah. It
but
was
it was
ravioli.
fine. It was fine. But I think that stuff like that is just so strange. Little Boo has become a pseudo mascot for Halloween Horror Nights. I mean,
Yeah.
he is on everything, and I mean, as basic as a goofy little pumpkin head is, that's an original character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Universal Christmas, Earl the Squirrel is a big deal,
I
and it was a
It's
squirrel
really
in a
weird.
tree that was in a Christmas
Yeah.
tree that people thought was funny. Their giant Christmas tree in the park, there was a squirrel in it that has become an IP. And I think what's happening now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this Epic Universe, Captain Cacao. Have you heard about this? It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah, I
little
did.
bear thing at like one of their little like treat shops, little treat stand, and it's going crazy. And they're making merchandise
Yeah,
for
it's
it, and it's
insane.
flying off the shelves. So it's like
I mean,
there
Well,
is something that's beyond the cult sphere that we're in of like hyper fanaticism that it does go
dude, Figment.
mainstream. Figment, was like
Figment.
and was in the
Figment
80s, but like
is a good
became a
example.
thing. And so you're
Yeah.
still seeing that occur with these little spin-off characters or things. And I think also like you can find kick-ass original parks or original attractions in theme parks. They're just not these big two because these big two have to cross such a high bar of revenue, I think, to justify
Yeah.
doing anything,
Sure.
specifically because they're based in California and Florida. And like you have to entice someone to travel and stay and spend all this money that you have to do all of, check all the boxes. But like I'm a huge fan of Hershend and Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, and they just acquired a
Mhm.
bunch of other stuff. And I'm fascinated to see where that goes because Dollywood is an awesome theme park and they have original themed great attractions. Are they on the budget of a Disney? No. Like they opened a new coaster like 2 years ago or something called Big Bear Mountain, which is just a roller coaster at its core, but like it's super themed. You're like hunting a big bear and there's onboard audio and they're like doing everything they can within their box to still do something interesting. Like Mystery
Right.
Mine there is a
Yeah,
full-on dark ride coaster that like changes ride type. There's like those in Silver Dollar City,
yeah,
Fire in the Hole is like a firefighter themed dark ride coaster. That's awesome and like very well done. It's just not to that level. So I think
yeah,
if those Herschen, right? This is extreme hypothetical, but they just bought a bunch of stuff. If they continue to do this to a really awesome degree, that if they eventually do have something in a California, Orlando sphere, at least similar market that kicks ass, you could see something happen
Sure.
maybe.
there.
I mean, but we have Knott's here.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
We have Knott's here. Knott's is an original. Knott's has been kicking ass for a while. It's crazy though. I will say Europe doesn't have seem to have as big of an issue with this. Europe is able to escape this
It's a
so
different
much easier
market.
than we are.
Europeans
It's so
value
different,
don't value commodification like Americans do. Americans
dude. It's
love their
crazy.
crap. We love our
It's
crap.
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy going. I went to like tour a few years ago. I went to Ventura
Yeah.
in Spain, and I mean, they have this one ride. It's called like Furious Bronco, right? It's a coaster. It's themed to a vineyard where monkeys get into the vineyard and cause mayhem, and it's a
That's the
coaster.
best idea I've
And
ever heard.
I don't, I don't know what the story is, other than you're in this really well themed vineyard, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of animatronic monkeys, and then they break everything, and the wine makes you launch out. And I don't, but that's a fairly new attraction.
Right.
It's awesome. I don't know what the narrative is there, like, that's just a weird story, but, like, they did
Fun,
that.
yeah.
And then, like, most of their attractions, a lot there are still pretty original, themed off something interesting. And, when you brought up Horror Nights, I think it's really interesting, like, how the haunt and seasonal stuff has been largely able to escape
Unaffected, yeah.
the IP world,
Yeah.
because it's insane. Yeah, you draw them in with the IP, but there's so much original. And then, like,
What do people
you've been able
talk
to
about
create
afterwards though, right? It's Dead Man's
is
Pier.
the cult is Dead
It's the
Man's Bear.
original
Yeah, it's
awesome
Chupacabra,
thing.
it's those. And that have created a following that would,
Absolutely.
like, dude, Jack the
Is
Clown
intellectual
is, like,
property at this point.
is
100%.
an IP,
Yeah.
is an icon that's and he's relatively new.
A lot of
He's, like,
times those original
he's
ones even get sequels, like Slaughter Cinema
all the
last
time.
Yeah.
year.
Dude, Slaughter Cinema.
Like an
No,
original
dude,
one that
Knott's
gets
too.
a sequel, and Knott's as well. Knott's is completely original,
Yeah.
in
Knott's has
terms of
their own universe lore,
yeah, in
dude,
terms of
built
Scary
around this
Farm.
event.
What
And
I said, like Universal Hollywood has reacted to Knott's. Knott's pulls some of their money away. Knott's is
yeah,
a
Yeah.
huge deal, Scary Farm specifically. So
Yeah.
you have seen them like I think it's hilarious that Knott's puts a billboard right outside Universal every fall. It's the funniest
yeah,
thing in the world.
Yeah, it's
it's
amazing.
fucking
But like
hilarious.
if you talk to people like at the haunts and you're like, which is better? Most of them will be like, oh, Knott's is better, but like I'm here because like
Knott's
I have to be here.
Knott's
I
is
come here
hands
because I wanted to
down
see Last of Us, but like Knott's is better.
yeah,
You
Knott's
know,
is hands down better than
Universal
Horror
Hollywood.
Nights
The
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood Horror
Yeah,
Nights, yeah,
absolutely.
So I do
unfortunately.
think that there
Yeah,
is something could
dude,
happen there.
I think that
Monstros? Sorry,
no, you're fine.
Monstros, 3 years now, 3 years in a
Both
row, like,
resorts,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it's gonna I think it's gonna be come back this year, so, like, I'm like, "Damn, another original story," and, I mean, that could be a f that on its own could be its own,
Absolutely.
anthology
I'm
series
waiting for that
of,
to
like,
happen, for Universal to take a
I
big enough swing, to make a
how
Jack the
have they
Clown a
not
movie, to make a
yeah,
something
dude, how
movie.
have you not made a Jack the Clown
Yeah.
Yeah.
movie at this point? Like, that guy is
Especially after
so
like the
iconic
success of
looking.
Terrifier and
Oh
all
my
that.
god, which
Like,
they're
Dude,
doing this
exactly.
year, which is heavily rumored that they're doing this year. Could be fun.
yeah. I think
That's a
that
fun one.
part of the reason I have a couple theories about this, like being somebody that works
Works
heavily
at
in
Hans.
haunts.
For sure.
Like I think it kind of goes back to what Spencer has said in the past about how one, like these things are all themed in their own way because they're attached to a holiday. And so like I feel like maybe there's less pressure for it to be an IP fest, but I also feel like any haunted house that is not run by those big now used to be four but now three conglomerates in the US, they're pretty much original shit. Like like, you know, haunted houses are something you can do in your city pretty much no matter which city you live in the US. There's probably a haunted house nearby you, and they don't have rights to IP. They don't have any of that shit. All their stuff is stuff that they're coming up with, you know, on a seasonal basis. And so all of that's pretty much original. They might play with things like Dracula or Frankenstein, things that are in the public domain in the mainstream, sure, but they're not, you know, taking from from large level modern IP the way that Universal and even now Six Flags, I think they had
Yeah.
one last year or
The
the year
Conjuring and
before. The
Saw in recent
Conjuring, yes.
years.
Uh
Stranger
That
and
was
Things.
Stranger
crazy.
Things. So
Yeah.
like they, you know, there's even Six Flags is kind of getting into that. Knott's obviously owned by the same conglomerate, but like uh
Oh my
more
god.
original.
Are we
Isn't
gonna
that
get
wild?
IP at Knott's? Oh my god.
I don't know. They've put a lot of money, dude, into the whole building a universe idea that they
Yeah.
introduced a few years back now.
But
Like,
Six Flags is a
But
whole new
but it's
company
Cedar
now.
Fair leadership, right? Isn't that what happened with them? I don't know. I think
Yeah, it's
that's what
I
Cedar
think
Fair
happened.
leadership.
mostly,
But
yeah.
Ooh,
I
that's
think what you're getting at, Lane,
terrifying.
is that yeah, I know. The barrier of entry for haunts financially is a lot lower than for a regular theme park.
Right, exactly. And so you're not, you know, I think that maybe that's part of the reason is that you're throwing so much capital as a theme park company into an attraction that shit, this better be attached to something that we know is going to make money,
Also, to break even,
you
it
Yeah.
know?
has to be making money and
Right.
relevant
Like
for 10 years.
if we fucking slap Daniel Radcliffe on the thing, we know people are going to come, you know? So like why would we take that risk when we have the ability to use these IPs, you know? I think that it's a lot probably a lot about security almost and a return on their investment than
You
it
have to
is even
please the investors, yeah.
yeah. And so you know, like Animal Kingdom, even in the late 90s, as we've been talking about, was a pretty big fucking ballsy gamble. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and even at the time, you know, and
God love Michael Eisner.
yeah, but
Like, that
talk about
guy
that
made so many
Big
now,
cheese,
but
baby.
big
the
calls,
big
big risks.
cheese.
Like, he did a lot of really stupid stuff that
But
we could do a
the
whole
dude
episode on
fucking,
Michael Eisner, the man, the myth, the legend.
yeah.
But he
But
also,
hey,
like, believed in things and
yeah,
had
the dude fucking took risks.
yeah,
I
he
don't
had
know.
some
And so
gusto.
quite a few of them paid off.
Sure.
Like, you know, but I think it's probably a lot about that, about return on investment. We know that How to Train Your Dragon, really popular, nominated for, you know, best animated films. I think most of them were,
Yeah.
uh, and made a ton of money, we own the theme park rights to it because it's a
There are
DreamWorks
films. We
property.
own DreamWorks.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's something that, like I said earlier, it's something that has, to me, already concluded. You have the live action coming out. They still are making the animated shows. There's
Yeah.
been like 5 of them or some shit,
And they're
like
actually
quite a
pretty
few.
solid. I've watched
And
a couple
yeah,
episodes of them.
yeah, I remember I did like years back too, and I was like surprisingly surprised they got like Jay Baruchel to be in
In
it,
the
and
show,
like
yeah.
I was like, that's kind of wild.
With the
That
Kung
like
Fu
Jonah,
Panda ones, it's always like
yeah,
Jack Black sound alike, but they
yeah,
actually
yeah.
got the cast to do the
Yeah,
dragons
they
ones.
got Jay Baruchel and America Ferrera to be in it, and like, yeah, Jonah Hill's not in it, and that's different. But like, you have your 2 main voices. That's pretty wild,
Yeah.
So I think it is something that a lot of people are still connected to in the fandom, I guess, and so they know that people are going to show up for it. Uh,
Yeah,
and why take that risk otherwise? If you're a low barrier to entry attraction like your local haunted house, that's different.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
trying to theme it out in something that makes sense to you, but also something that will scare people. And you don't have access to those crazy IPs. I mean, you know, we've definitely done attractions in the last couple years that I've been a part of that have been almost collabs with IPs,
Mhm.
and in certain attractions or even just experiences that are part of an attraction have been collabs with IPs. Like, even, and I don't work for one of those big 3 conglomerates, like, but it is something where you say, hey, they're going to make money off of this, we're probably going to make money off of this, why would we not do it?
Mhm.
If it's something that we can afford
Yep.
to make the investment on, and we know we have research saying that people are going to come interact with that and spend more money throughout our event because they're here to interact with this specific person or property, yeah, why would we not do that?
Yeah. I just had a
Yeah,
really
I
interesting thought about roller coasters because but to tie this in because
To tie this into, I'm going to talk about roller
no, like
coasters.
haunts, right?
Spencer's got to go fast. He's
Like
got to go. I got to
gotta go
go
fast.
fast.
Gotta go
Got to go
fast.
fast.
No, I'm not even like the big of a coaster head. Toby's definitely the biggest coaster head of the 3 of us, but
Yeah.
the same way Toby was talking about haunts are such a like low barrier to entry, like people will go. Stardust Racers is an original attraction with an original story,
yeah,
and it's
Hmm.
just a roller
yeah.
coaster. But
I don't think there's a story,
and
but
and
I think it's just a
I think there
coaster.
is one in the queue, from what I understand. Actually, it's about
Oh,
like
okay,
these
cool. I'll take it.
racing gods, right? These racing like
Oh
Hell
yeah,
celestials,
yeah. Hell yeah.
however loose it is, but people come out for roller coasters.
they
Regional
do.
parks don't invest in dark rides. Some do, and it's very rare. But the theming applications is to a roller coaster because roller coasters are like Disney. They're like haunts where it's just a cultural institution. Like people
Yeah.
fucking love roller coasters. And
But
you
think
can
about how
dress it
many of
up
those
and try and
roller,
make it. Sorry, go ahead.
like, knots, like,
Yeah.
yeah, all their roller coasters are like kind of themed to the area that they're in or whatever, but not really,
People show up.
Yeah, like Silver Bullet is
Dude, Silver Bullet is such an eyesore.
Yeah. But like
I
Pony
it
like
is,
Express
but
is
people
like,
fucking ride it,
yeah, for sure.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, damn, my
uh,
favorite wooden coaster is in that park.
And it is themed,
yeah, dude.
yeah, to an
And it,
extent.
Kicks it.
to
Yeah.
a certain extent, everything else around it is kind of themed out to be like a barn because they're like, what else is wood? Barns
Yeah.
are wood, so
Okay.
every building
Okay.
around here will be barns
I think coasters could be
or
an
mines or
avenue with
something.
more experimentation because
Yeah.
Just kidding. Incredicoaster
shut up,
2.
shut up.
Yes. Yes.
Incredicoaster
That
2.
is just the biggest.
Rock and Roller Coaster featuring the Muppets.
Okay, I'm okay with that because the Muppets. But
Yeah, I love the
Nom
yeah.
nom
Muppets.
cookie.
Oh God,
That's
Sesame Street.
that's dude.
Oh,
Okay, so then to wrap this whole thing up, I guess what how do you think original stories get told then within our industry
I'm gonna say it. Coasters. I just threw it out there.
outside of haunts?
Roller
that's
coasters. You
that's
have
an
to
Coasters,
interesting
fuse it with
idea.
something
coasters.
people always want. Everyone likes roller coasters. So I think, I mean,
Matterhorn is a very early
Everest,
version of that.
prior to Stardust
Uh,
Racers, Everest was the
Everest
last
is a very
original.
good modern example of that.
I don't know, like, I think that's where, because I think if you have all your frickin' data, your attendance graphics and your revenue and
Right.
crap, coasters are certainly the lowest investment, highest reward of an attraction. You don't need cutting edge technology to build a roller coaster. It
Okay,
helps, but
that's
like
fair.
Frankenstein Experiment has probably cost 5 times as much as Stardust Racers did. I don't know that for a fact. Could be talking out of my ass, but I bet it did with the R&D and the technology. And there's
Sure.
probably like some kind of like AI or something that like reacts to, there's all of that to build the most technologically advanced, amazing thing. Probably cost way more than Stardust Racers did. So they were okay with having a IP list attraction be something that people are going to ride anyway. I don't know. I
That's an
had that
interesting point.
epiphany, and that's what I'm gonna say.
If it's not gonna be IP, it's gotta be something that people are gonna ride
People are gonna ride
regardless.
anyway. Because if you build a dark ride that's like cosmic, celestial dark ride, is everyone and their mother gonna line up for it? Nope.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last what was the last non-IP shaking box ride that you went on?
My God. Yeah.
Like simulator.
I think SeaWorld just did a stupid like penguin Arctic one that's like a Soarin'
They
clone
did,
that is
they
apparently
did, they
awful,
did.
but
Soarin' is
I think that
probably
Soarin'.
the last one I went
Yeah.
on.
Soarin' was a big swing.
SeaWorld had Empire of the
Penguin.
whatever Dark Road, that was a cool one for a bit. That was
SeaWorld is
actually really
such an
unique.
fighting an uphill battle though with the political narrative
Yeah,
around them.
I'm trying to think of Disney or Universal. I don't think Universal's ever done a dark ride that's original. Um,
They always took the IP
Disney,
original story route, like Pets, which is incredible. But yeah,
Disney,
Yeah.
Disney. W-
I think it's Soarin' for me.
Test Track.
oh, that's
That's
interesting.
not a simulator though.
Okay. Oh. Mission Space. Wasn't Mission
Yeah,
Space like
yeah, yeah.
Mission
2000?
Space. Okay, that's a good one.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Mission Space, which I mean, no one goes on that, but that's not because that's just because the ride is not
They
good.
still
I
Yeah.
love it,
cared
but it's
about
not a good
they
ride.
It's
still cared
disturbing.
about Epcot at that time though. That was a piece of
Yeah.
I love that.
technology and it
I
was
still love that thing.
yeah, they cared about keeping the integrity of
It's not
Future
good,
World at that
but I love
time.
it.
They haven't
Yeah,
destroyed World Showcase yet, and I don't think they will. But Future World, I mean,
it's harder to.
they don't
It's
give
harder
a
to.
shit about Future World. So
Yeah.
What trying to think of anything else dark ride, original dark ride.
I'm
Fuck,
saying you
dude. That
gotta
gets
you
real.
gotta sell it with something
That's
people
an
like.
interesting
Journey?
point.
Journey to the Center of the Earth? 20,000 Leagues in Tokyo?
Yes, but that's Tokyo. And those
Yeah.
Tower
people will
Terror, yeah,
show up for
Tokyo there
the
too.
Disney International parks are a whole different ballgame because they are incredible and a
Yeah,
lot of
they
original
are.
Yeah.
stuff that's kick ass.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, I'm trying to
I'm
think
saying to the American
domestically, like,
demographic.
Yeah.
dude,
Did I just crack the
uh,
code?
I you might have, dude. That's pretty
dude, I
interesting.
can't I think Great Movie Ride, maybe when
Mid
MGM
90s.
Studios,
Sure.
But that was
and
an
that's not even
IP ride.
IP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is an
Yeah, it
IP
It's
was
ride
amazing and
almost.
I wish it came back. Shout out
yeah.
I think it's Poseidon Entertainment or one of the YouTubers that did a whole like retrospective on the
I
Great
love
Movie Ride
Poseidon.
and it's like I'm so sad I never got to experience that attraction.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, you just stumped me. Like, I cannot think of anything in the 2010s or 2000s that isn't a Soarin'. It's Soarin'.
Yeah,
It's literally
Yeah.
or Grizzly River
but
Rapids, but
that's
that's
a
like
water ride, right? That's the same idea as a
it's a
coaster. It's
staple.
something that every park
It's a
needs.
staple.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I don't think we've had an original. Yeah, I think Soarin' might have been the last
Yeah.
original. Shit.
And
I
Soarin'
think
is
Fuck.
like such a weird little anomaly of like super cheap to produce. I mean, it was built on an erector set by this like Imagineer, and it's an awesome interview if you've ever seen it, where he
it is
talks about
great.
how he just
Yeah.
had like a box of little gears and he made it
It's
and was like,
super
hold
interesting.
on, this is gonna
Yeah.
cost a nickel and make us tons of money.
Isn't that wild though? Like I think that's
Kick ass creative.
yeah, I think that yeah, that's a pretty interesting point. Like if it's going to be
Walt the
something
Ride.
if
We're
it's
getting
going to be
there.
something not IP, it damn well better be something that's going to get people on it because or else people are just going to go to the
Yeah.
IP rides.
When you're walking in a
Dude,
park and you see a coaster or a water ride, you're like, "Oh, I gotta do that one." Regardless of what the story they're telling is, it just
dude,
looks fun.
Yeah,
genuinely think, yeah, man. There's nothing big in the last 20 years I can even
yeah,
conjure up
Besides Mission
that
Space and
has
Soarin', yeah.
Mission Space and Soarin' and
But
Test
Test
Track
Track is
ish.
kind of a roller coaster. Like, you see it,
Yeah, it's a
and
thrill
kind of.
ride.
also it
It's a
was
thrill
Yeah,
tied to
ride.
Chevrolet, so it wasn't like a traditional IP, but it was a
yeah.
commercial for Chevy in
It
that
was a
queue.
sponsorship. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We should do a
Yeah,
whole
dude.
deep dive on the era of sponsored
I
attractions, because what a dystopian nightmare that
Yeah.
was.
Oh yeah, and I
Right.
really
I
want to
mean,
do a deep dive on just theme park hotels, the best and worst,
Sure,
because
that'd be fun.
think about like how, like, let's just talk about all themed hotels one episode, because there's obviously things like Star Cruiser that we can fucking hammer at, but
Roast,
then there's
yeah.
also things like the Nickelodeon Hotel. Do you remember? Like, and I would love to kind of explore more of that.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess the future, if it's just, I think it's just outside of theme parks now. I think it's on the Meow
You think
Wolves of the
so?
world. Those, I think it's just on those to one of them take the risk and hit it big enough that they can at least. But I don't think any of those are going to even put a dent where the attention is big enough or the revenue is big enough to challenge the big boys.
Mm.
So I don't know. Shit, dude. Yeah, you're right. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope
I'd
maybe we hit a
love to be
renaissance.
wrong.
I'd love to hit an artistic
Love
renaissance
to
where
be
people
wrong.
start building original auteur-based dark rides,
Yeah.
like, do you know what I would love? And this is something I've thought about. This is in an alternate universe where everything is great and people are smarter and pe and, maximizing shareholder revenue isn't the objective of everything in the fucking world, um,
Brought to you
is,
by the
like,
United
giving
States of America.
God bless. It would be getting auteur directors to
Oh.
make their own attractions. Imagine like letting Guillermo del Toro make his own
That's
ride,
that
Isn't
is
that
where
what
the
he
happened with
answer.
ET?
Yeah, kinda. Spielberg had a
yeah, but no,
crazy idea.
I'm
Steven.
saying imagine letting being going up to the Daniels and being like, you guys get to make a ride. Or like getting these like visionary creatives and letting them create their own
Yeah,
attractions. Cause then you would have IP in the sense of the creators behind them.
sure.
And so there is enough to bring people in, but you're getting an original attraction.
Can't
So
believe
like,
Guillermo del Toro or I thought Tim Burton, like, giving a director, not even like an attraction, but like design a theme park, you know?
yeah, let them do
It'd be
their thing. Let them
interesting. I
cook.
feel like
Yeah.
if it was
That
somebody like one of those two, I could buy into that a little more,
It was a very
because they have
distinct
such
world and style,
yeah,
yeah.
they have such distinct world
there's
building and art
tons. There's tons
style.
out there who can do that. I mean, dude, they just, like let get Scorsese of Mobster
My
Land to
god.
design, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he would never do it. He hates
Yeah,
theme
he wouldn't
parks
do it.
apparently, but I don't know. Spielberg has already done so much for the park, so we can't ask more of him. Like, thank you, Steven, for keeping E.T.
Honestly,
alive. One of
like,
my favorite
Steven
Ooh,
attractions
Spielberg is, like,
ever.
the best thing that Universal has had, 'cause
Yeah.
he gets a cut of everything, and I feel like he gets a little
yeah.
voice if he feels like it.
Well, here's where I think there might be hope for that in the future, though, is because the theme park industry has become so interesting to people now, and you have people who work in film and love theme parks and want to cross over to
Which
both.
is a
Like
Yeah.
it is something
positive
people
side
want
of
to
the
build.
IP thing, is it's become a
Yeah.
mainstream discussion.
So maybe some point a park will take a risk. I see it more happening maybe in the haunt space first, where you give a horror icon a chance to like design a haunt that's original.
Or
But
Oh,
I
they
what
should
if
do that.
Universal or Blumhouse, since ownership or whatever, like, what if they made a monstrous movie?
It'd be so awesome.
Like, what if it
We
went
talked about that
what
earlier.
if it
Yeah.
went the reverse direction?
Yeah.
No, I think that we're closer to that, but I don't know. For original storytelling at this point, I think the closest we can get is getting some big name guy who's like, I want to work on
Okay,
a theme park.
this is the worst example because this guy sucks, but they did it with The Weeknd. They did it with The Weeknd. They said, "Design a house," and he has since become kind of a laughing stock meme with his new movie, which is apparently awful.
Hey, but they did before with I mean, what's his
Alice.
name? Had a bunch of houses. Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper had a bunch of
So
Yeah.
houses. Yeah, so they
they've
gave him
done it, is what I'm saying, which is cool.
on the
Sure.
haunt space.
Yeah.
I'm saying imagine getting a big budget,
Oh,
well-known, universally loved
be
director
so cool.
to make an original
You
theme
could
park
you could
attraction.
make the argument for Neil Druckmann doing the Last of Us maze too, Spencer.
He was involved. I don't know that he
Well, he
was
was
he? I
Yeah.
don't
involved in all
know.
You
that. I don't know.
you could give James Gunn has been pretty involved, I think, with the Guardians attractions to
Well,
an
I think he
extent,
maybe
so I guess
wrote some
I
of
think
the
he might have
dialogue.
written part of Mission Breakout at least.
Yeah, the dialogue at
yeah,
He
but
was
that's
least.
still
I
yeah.
don't know. He was there when they
Yeah,
released it. I
yeah, I just think I would love to see that. I would
Free
love to
DC from Six Flags and let one of those two buy it and then have him do something. Please God.
dude, let Matt Reeves make a Batman
Please
ride.
God.
It's dark and edgy, and you just come out of it, and kids go in because they love
Come
Batman. And they
out
just come out so
traumatized.
depressed.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
depressed and traumatized and
They're gonna
nihilistic.
turn their log flume into the Batman. Fuck. God damn
Yes.
it.
Give it to
Yeah, I don't
me.
know.
Yes.
That's what I'd like
That'd
to
be
see at this
cool.
point. I'm like, that'd be
That's a
sick. Lane,
realistic
what
direction, though, I think.
that could happen. I think at some point. I mean, if we get to that point where it's just like big director is also a huge theme park
You'd
nerd.
have to
Yeah.
do,
Like,
like,
I want to
lower
design a
stakes,
ride.
though, like, you'd have to have Alice Cooper direct Halloween Horror Nights one year, where he is almost it's a
Yeah,
lower
yeah,
stakes, but it still is kind of designing an entire park, and see where that
yeah.
goes. But, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, let Del Toro do Horror
Oh,
Nights, dude.
yes.
Do
Be
you
scary.
imagine, like, and he gets to make every land, like, a
So
different fairy tale
awesome.
or something? It's like a dark fairy tale theme thing, and you just let him have
Absolutely.
fun.
Wow.
Just let him cook. I think he was involved when they did Crimson Peak,
Oh, you're right. He
uh,
was.
but, like, it wasn't original.
Yeah.
It was off an IP. I don't know, Lane, did we already ask you about this? I think we did, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just spoke to it while you guys were talking, I think. But
Okay, cool.
I don't know.
Okay.
I could see it because there are directors like, Spielberg in the past in terms of like mainstream attractions, and James Gunn, like you were saying, that have been involved. I think that it would be interesting to expand that a bit. But it's also tough because I think there's also, does that kind of negate the ability for the next Joe Rody
Sure.
to get their spotlight?
Oh,
I don't know, but
I mean, you're still gonna need those people who work in the theme park space, but, like, at this point,
yeah,
they're still negated anyway. I mean,
sure.
they're there, but, like, no one's gonna know who they are because they just designed an IP
I
ride.
also
Yeah.
don't think
Like,
they get their moment in the sun.
alright, Lane,
Okay.
let's wrap this thing up.
Okay. Let's wrap this thing up. Let's go through what we saw this week that we thought was pretty damn cool. Spencer, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So, Nicole, my girlfriend, and I like to do little day trips. We live in Seattle, so there's a million little coastal towns and mountain towns to explore. And I find sometimes they have little themed little gems. And so we were in Port Townsend, Washington, which is a really fun, like old Victorian architecture town that kind of is an
Okay.
enclave of artists. And we went to a couple really awesome themed shops, a lot of like mystical stuff, oddity shops, things like that. I always love when someone owns a store and
Yeah.
really has like cool creative direction. And they like will like have hallways in the store that have like stuff all over the walls and black light. And it's like this is such a fun retail experience that I like really enjoy. So I love stuff like that. And if you are in the Los Angeles area, Halloween Town in Burbank, and there's some like
So
witch
cool. Just
store over there.
Burbank in
That
general,
street
dude.
in
Burbank is
Burbank
such a
is so
weird place.
fun.
It is so
So
weird.
themed retail, big fan. Shout out Port Townsend, Washington, if anyone has taken a
Woo!
Seattle vacation. A very cool town to explore.
Nice.
I will call out this isn't this week. I've gone a few times. I love it. There's these 2 bars that I like called Bigfoot Lodge.
Ooh,
Not sure if
love
you guys
Bigfoot
ever went when you
Lodge.
were here.
Mhm.
Dude,
Nice.
it's, like, so well themed. It's like a little cabin. They even have some, like, very basic animatronics in
Yeah.
there. The vibe is just great. It's like so. I think it's an Atwater Village here, the one that I go
Okay,
to. They have
yeah.
I always
bluegrass. They
thought
have
of it
bluegrass
Atwater's cool.
nights on
Pacific
Tuesdays.
Northwest Rainforest Cafe in LA.
Yeah, dude,
Wow,
it
that's
really
cool.
is,
Yeah.
and it's free. It's super small. It's free to go into. That it's very well themed. Like you walk in there and you are immersed. Like for
Yeah.
and like it's a little kid cheap, but in the best way
Yeah.
possible. Like I think like in the front they have like an animatronic bear or something. There's two of them. I only been to one of them, that Water Village one. But like you just stand there and you're like, this is so cute. This is so
Yeah.
funny. So yeah, shout out to them if you're looking for a little. You're not trying to go to a theme park and break the bank, but you want you need that theme entertainment. Kick in, go grab a drink there. Like I said, they do bluegrass nights on Tuesdays. I'm a bluegrass boy, so I always go for that. And it's just a good time. It's just a good
Nice.
time.
Cool, dude.
Lane,
I'll give a shout out to a bar I went to on Friday with my coworkers after work, Yacht Club in Denver,
I've
which
heard about that.
it's consistently on the top. I don't know if it's like part of some larger organization or anything, but it is consistently on like the top 10 top bars in Denver lists. But it is a very nondescript building from the outside, just like a blue brick building, and you go in and the whole thing's themed out, like a yacht club, and different areas to sit in. There's no like proper like tables. You're just kind of with your friends at whichever kind of alcove with chairs that you've decided to sit in. There's like a lot of different rocking chairs, older chairs, thing like those kind of wood and mesh chairs that look like they belong on a pier or
Yeah.
something. And pretty small place overall, but a lot of really cool cocktails that are themed out, like some good rum stuff, everything like that. And then they only, besides their cocktails and spirits, they only serve hot dogs. And, and so they have deals where, you can buy, they have specific menu items that are like a banana daiquiri with this specific caviar topped hot dog. Like their hot dogs are really out there. I had one that was basically an Italian sub on top of a hot dog, and
Hell yeah.
had
Ooh,
that
make me
with
hungry.
my rum drink. It was really good, and honestly, the hot dog was one of the best ones I've had in Denver. So it was pretty solid. Very like interesting theme for a small little dive bar essentially. But yeah, cool spot. So if you're in Denver and you've never been, check out Yacht Club. But yeah, I
Cool.
think that's going to kind of do it for this week, guys. Pretty much ran up to the time limit for us again. So it looks like we're going to be averaging a couple hours on this one, which is fun with me. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. This was the Fully Immersed podcast. We'll be back again soon with another episode talking about some other crazy topic that's current in our industry here. Joined today, as always, by Spencer Bennett and Tobias Lerman-Matante. I am Lane Calder. We'll see you next time. Bye.